Sahih al-Bukhari Hajj, pilgrimage. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Abbas. Al-Fadl, his brother, was riding behind Allah's messenger, and a woman from the tribe of Qatham came, and Al-Fadl started looking at her and she started looking at him. The Prophet turned Al-Fadl's face to the other side. The woman said, "O Allah's messenger, the obligation of Hajj enjoined by Allah on his devotees has become due on my father, and he is old and weak, and he cannot sit firm on the mount. May I perform Hajj on his behalf?" The Prophet replied, "Yes, you may." That happened during the Hajj al-Wida of the Prophet. Sahih al-Bukhari 1513 reference 25 Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. I saw that Allah's messenger used to ride on his mount at Dhul Hulayfa and used to start saying, Labbaik, when the mount stood upright. Sahih al-Bukhari 1514 reference 25 Hadith 2. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Habir bin Abdullah. That Allah's messenger started saying, Labbaik from Dhul Hulayfa when his mount stood upright carrying him. Sahih al-Bukhari 1515 reference 25 Hadith 3. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. The Prophet sent my brother, Abdur Rahman, with me to Tanam for the Umrah, and he made me ride on the pack saddle of a camel. Umar said, "Be ready to travel for Hajj, as it, Hajj, is one of the two kind of jihad." Sahih al-Bukhari 1516 reference 25 Hadith 4. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Thumama bin Abdullah bin Anas. Anas performed the Hajj on a pack saddle, and he was not a miser. Anas said, Allah's messenger performed Hajj on a pack saddle, and the same mount was carrying his baggage too. Sahih al-Bukhari 1517 reference 25 Hadith 5. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Al-Qasim bin Muhammad, peace be upon him. Aisha said, O Allah's messenger, you performed Umrah but I did not. He said, O Abdur Rahman, go along with your sister and let her perform Umrah from Tan'im. Abdur Rahman made her ride over the pack saddle of a she-camel, and she performed Umrah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1518 reference 25 Hadith 6. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet was asked, which is the best deed? He said, to believe in Allah and His Apostle. He was then asked, which is the next, in goodness? He said, to participate in jihad in Allah's cause. He was then asked, which is the next? He said, to perform Hajj Mabrur. Sahih al-Bukhari 1519 reference 25 Hadith 7. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha, sad face. The mother of the faithful believers. I said, O Allah's messenger, we consider jihad as the best deed. The Prophet said, the best jihad, for women, is Hajj Mabrur. Sahih al-Bukhari 1520 reference 25 Hadith 8. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet, P.B. U.H., said, whoever performs Hajj for Allah's pleasure and does not have sexual relations with his wife, and does not do evil or sins, then he will return, after Hajj, free from all sins, as if he were born anew. Sahih al-Bukhari 1521 reference 25 Hadith 9. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Zayd bin Jubair. I went to visit Abdullah bin Umar at his house, which contained many tents made of cotton cloth, and these were encircled with saradik, part of the tent. I asked him from where should one assume ihram for Umrah. He said, Allah's messenger had fixed as Makkah, singular of Mawaki, Qarn for the people of Najd, Dhul Hulayfa for the people of Medina, and Al-Juffa for the people of Sham. Sahih al-Bukhari 1522 Reference 25 Hadith 10. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The people of Yemen used to come for Hajj and used not to bring enough provisions with them and used to say that they depend on Allah. On their arrival in Medina they used to beg the people, and so Allah revealed, and take a provision, with you, for the journey, but the best provision is the fear of Allah. 2.197. Sahih al-Bukhari 1523 Reference 25 Hadith 11. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Allah's Messenger, P.B. U. H. made Dhul Hulayfa as the Miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Juffa for the people of Sham, Qarn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen, and these Mawaki are for the people at those very places, and besides them for those who come through those places with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. And whoever is living within these boundaries can assume Ram from the place he starts, and the people of Mecca can assume Ihram from Mecca. Sahih al-Bukhari 1524 Reference 25 Hadith 12. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar said, Allah's Messenger said, the people of Medina should assume Ram from Dhul Hulayfa, the people of Sham from Al-Juffa, and the people of Najd from Qarn. And Abdullah added, I was informed that Allah's Messenger had said, the people of Yemen should assume Ihram from Yalamlam. Sahih al-Bukhari 1525 Reference 25 Hadith 13. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Allah's Messenger had fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the Miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Juffa for the people of Sham, and Qarn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen. So, these, above mentioned, are the Mawaki for all those living at those places, and besides them for those who come through those places with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah, and whoever lives within these places should assume Ihram from his dwelling place, and similarly the people of Mecca can assume Ram from Mecca. Sahih al-Bukhari 1526 Reference 25 Hadith 14. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim from his father who said, the Prophet had fixed the Mawaki as follows. Number 603. Sahih al-Bukhari 1527 Reference 25 Hadith 15. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim bin Abdullah from his father. I heard Allah's Messenger saying, the Miqat for the people of Medina is Dhul Hulayfa. For the people of Sham is Mahida, that is Al-Juffa, and for the people of Najd is Qarn. And said Ibn Umar, they claim, but I did not hear personally, that the Prophet said, the Miqat for the people of Yemen is Yalamlam. Sahih al-Bukhari 1528 Reference 25 Hadith 16. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the Miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Juffa, for the people of Sham, Yalamlam for the people of Yemen, and Qarn for the people of Najd. And these Mawaki are for those living at those very places, and besides them for those who come through those places with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. And whoever is living inside these places can assume Ram from his own dwelling place, and the people of Mecca can assume Ram from Mecca. Sahih al-Bukhari 1529 Reference 25 Hadith 17. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet, P.B. U. H. fixed Dhul Hulayfa as the Miqat for the people of Medina, Al-Juffa for the people of Sham, Qarn al-Manazil for the people of Najd, and Yalamlam for the people of Yemen. and these mawaki are for those living at those very places, and besides them for those whom come through them with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. And whoever is living within these mawaki should assume Ram from where he starts, and the people of Mecca can assume Ihram from Mecca. Sahih al-Bukhari 1530 reference 25 Hadith 18. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. When these two towns, Basra and Kufa, were captured, the people went to Umar and said, "O the chief of the faithful believers, the Prophet fixed Qarn as the Makkah for the people of Najd. It is beyond our way and it is difficult for us to pass through it." He said, "Take as your Makkah a place situated opposite to Qarn on your usual way." So, he fixed Datu Irq as their Makkah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1531 reference 25 Hadith 19. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar said, Allah's messenger made his camel sit, that is he dismounted, at al-Batha in Dhul Hulayfa and offered the prayer. Abdullah bin Umar used to do the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1532 reference 25 Hadith 20. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's messenger used to go for Hajj via Ash-Shahara way and return via Mu'ara's way. And no doubt, whenever Allah's messenger went to Mecca, he used to offer the prayer in the mosque of Ash-Shahara. And on his return, he used to offer the prayer at Dhul Hulayfa in the middle of the valley, and pass the night there till morning. Sahih al-Bukhari 1533 reference 25 Hadith 21. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Umar. In the valley of Al-Aqiq I heard Allah's messenger saying, "Tonight a messenger came to me from my Lord and asked me to pray in this blessed valley and to assume Ihram for Hajj and Umrah together." Sahih al-Bukhari 1534 reference 25 Hadith 22. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Musa bin Uqba. Salim bin Abdullah's father said, "The Prophet said that while resting in the bottom of the valley at Mu'ara's in Dhul Hulayfa, he had been addressed in a dream. You are verily in a blessed valley." Salim made us to dismount from our camels at the place where Abdullah used to dismount, aiming at the place where Allah's messenger had rested, and it was below the mosque situated in the middle of the valley in between them, the residence, and the road. Sahih al-Bukhari 1535 reference 25 Hadith 23. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Safwan bin Yalla. Yalla said to Umar, "Show me the Prophet when he is being inspired divinely." While the Prophet was at Jirana, in the company of some of his companions, a person came and asked, "O Allah's messenger, what is your verdict regarding that person who assumes Ihram for Umrah and is scented with perfume?" The Prophet kept quiet for a while and he was divinely inspired. Then Umar beckoned Yalla. So he came, and the Allah's messenger was shaded with sheet. Yalla put his head in and saw that the face of Allah's messenger was red and he was snoring. When the state of the Prophet was over, he asked, "Where is the person who asked about Umrah?" Then that person was brought and the Prophet said, "Wash the perfume off your body thrice and take off the cloak and do the same in Umrah as you do in Hajj." Sahih al-Bukhari 1536 reference 25 Hadith 24. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Sa'id bin Jubair. Ibn Umar used to oil his hair. I told that to Ibrahim, who said, "What do you think about this statement?" Narrated Aswad from Aisha. As if I were now observing the glitter of the scent in the parting of the hair of the Prophet while he was Muhrim. Sahih al-Bukhari 1537, 1538 reference 25 Hadith 25. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha sad face. the wife of the Prophet. P. B. U. H. I used to scent Allah's Messenger when he wanted to assume ihram and also on finishing ihram before the tawaf round the Kaaba. Tawaf al-Ifada. Sahih al-Bukhari 1539 reference 25 Hadith 26. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim from his father. I heard that Allah's Messenger assumed ihram with his hair matted together. Sahih al-Bukhari 1540 reference 25 Hadith 27. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim bin Abdullah. I heard my father saying, never did Allah's Messenger assume ihram except at the mosque, that is, at the mosque of Dhul Hulayfa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1541 reference 25 Hadith 28. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Umar. A man asked, O Allah's Messenger, what kind of clothes should a muhrim wear? Allah's Messenger replied, he should not wear a shirt, a turban, trousers, a head cloak or leather socks except if he can find no slippers. He then may wear leather socks after cutting off what might cover the ankles. And he should not wear clothes which are scented with saffron or wars, kinds of perfumes. Sahih al-Bukhari 1542 reference 25 Hadith 29. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ubaidullah bin Abdullah. Ibn Abbas said, Usama rode behind Allah's Messenger from Arafat to Al-Muzdalifah. And then Al-Fadl rode behind Allah's Messenger from Al-Muzdalifah to Mina. Ibn Abbas added, both of them said, the Prophet kept on reciting Talbiyah till he did the Rami of Jamrat al-Aqaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1543, 1544 reference 25 Hadith 30. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Abbas. The Prophet with his companions started from Medina after combing and oiling his hair and putting on 2 sheets of ram, upper body cover and waist cover. He did not forbid anyone to wear any kind of sheets except the ones colored with saffron because they may leave the scent on the skin. And so in the early morning, the Prophet mounted his mount while in Dhul Hulayfa and set out till they reached Baida, where he and his companions recited Talbiyah, and then they did the ceremony of Taqlid, which means to put the colored garlands around the necks of the button, camels for sacrifice. And all that happened on the 25th of Dhul Qa'dah. And when he reached Mecca on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah he performed the tawaf round the Kaaba and performed the tawaf between Safa and Marwa. And as he had a badana and had garlanded it, he did not finish his ihram. He proceeded towards the highest places of Mecca near Al-Hujum and he was assuming the ihram for Hajj and did not go. Sahih al-Bukhari 1545 reference 25 Hadith 31. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage near the Kaaba after he performed tawaf, round it, till he returned from Arafat. Then he ordered his companions to perform the tawaf round the Kaaba and then the tawaf of Safa and Marwa, and to cut short the hair of their heads and to finish their ihram. And that was only for those people who had not garlanded button. Those who had their wives with them were permitted to contact them, have sexual intercourse, and similarly perfume and ordinary clothes were permissible for them. Sahih al-Bukhari 1545 reference 25 Hadith 31. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik. The Prophet offered 4 rakat in Medina and then 2 rakat at Dhul Hulayfa and then passed the night at Dhul Hulayfa till it was morning, and when he mounted his mount and it stood up, he started to recite Talbiyah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1546 reference 25 Hadith 32. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Kilaba. Anas bin Malik said, the Prophet offered 4 rakat of the Zuhr prayer in Medina and 2 rakat of Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa. I think that the Prophet passed the night there till morning. Sahih al-Bukhari 1547 reference 25 Hadith 33. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas. The Prophet offered 4 rakat of the Zuhr prayer in Medina and 2 rakat of the Asr prayer in Dhul Hulayfa, and I heard them, the companions of the Prophet, reciting talbiyah together loudly to the extent of shouting. Sahih al-Bukhari 1548 reference 25 Hadith 34. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Umar. The talbiyah of Allah's Messenger was, Labbaika Allahumma labbaik, labbaika la sharika laka labbaik, Inna el hamda wa namata laka wal mulk, la sharika laka. I respond to your call, O Allah. I respond to your call, and I am obedient to your orders. You have no partner. I respond to your call. All the praises and blessings are for you. All the sovereignty is for you, and you have no partners with you. Sahih al-Bukhari 1549 reference 25 Hadith 35. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I know how the Prophet used to say, talbiyah, and it was, Labbaika Allahumma labbaik, labbaika la sharika laka labbaik, Inna el hamda wa namata laka walmu el k, la sharika laka. Sahih al-Bukhari 1550 reference 25 Hadith 36. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik. Allah's Messenger offered 4 rakat of Zuhr prayer at Medina, and we were in his company, and 2 rakat of the Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa, and then passed the night there till it was dawn. Then he rode, and when he reached al-Baida, he praised and glorified Allah and said Takbir. That is Alhamdulillah and Subhanallah. 1, and Allahu Akbar. Then he and the people along with him recited talbiyah with the intention of performing Hajj and Umrah. When we reached Mecca, he ordered us to finish the Ram. After performing the Umrah, only those who had no hadi, animal for sacrifice, with them were asked to do so, till the day of Tarwiyah, that is 8th Dhul Hijjah, when they assumed ihram for Hajj. The Prophet sacrificed many camels, slaughtering them with his own hands while standing. While Allah's apostle was in Medina, he sacrificed 2 horned rams, black and white in color, in the name of Allah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1551 reference 25 Hadith 37. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet, P.B. U.H., recited talbiyah when he had mounted his mount and was ready to set out. Sahih al-Bukhari 1552 reference 25 Hadith 38. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Whenever Ibn Umar finished his morning salat at Dhul Hulayfa, he would get his rahila, mount, prepared. Then, he would ride on it, and after it had stood up straight, ready to set out, he would face al-Qibla, the Kaaba at Makkah, while sitting on his mount, and recite talbiyah. When he had reached the boundaries of the Haram, or Makkah, he would stop recitation of talbiyah till he reached Dhituwa, near Makkah, where he would pass the night till it was dawn. After offering the morning salat, he would take a bath. He claimed that Allah's Messenger had done the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1553 reference 25 Hadith 39. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Whenever Ibn Umar intended to go to Mecca, he used to oil himself with a sort of oil that had no pleasant smell. Then he would go to the mosque of Al-Hulayda and offer the prayer, and then ride. When he mounted well on his mount and the mount stood up straight, he would proclaim the intention of assuming ihram, and he used to say that he had seen the Prophet doing the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1554 reference 25 Hadith 40. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Mujahid. I was in the company of Ibn Abbas and the people talked about Ad-Dajjal and said, Ad-Dajjal will come with the word kafir, non-believer, written in between his eyes. On that Ibn Abbas said, I have not heard this from the Prophet but I heard him saying, as if I saw Moses just now entering the valley reciting Talbiyah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1555 reference 25 Hadith 41. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha sad face. The wife of the Prophet, p.b. U.H. We set out with the Prophet in his last Hajj and we assumed ihram for Umrah. The Prophet then said, whoever has the Hadi with him should assume ihram for Hajj along with Umrah and should not finish the ihram till he finishes both. I was menstruating when I reached Mecca, and so I neither did tawaf round the Kaaba nor tawaf between Safa and Marwa. I complained about that to the Prophet, on which he replied, undo and comb your head hair, and assume ihram for Hajj only, and leave the Umrah. So, I did so. When we had performed the Hajj, the Prophet sent me with my brother Abdur Rahman bin Abu Bakr to Tan'im. So I performed the Umrah. The Prophet said to me, this Umrah is instead of your missed one. Those who had assumed ihram for Umrah, Hajj at Tamattu, performed tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa and then finished their ihram. After returning from Mina, they performed another tawaf, between Safa and Marwa. Those who had assumed Sahih al-Bukhari 1556 reference 25 Hadith 42. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage ihram for Hajj and Umrah together. Hajj al-Qiran, performed only one tawaf, between Safa and Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1556 reference 25 Hadith 42. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Atta. Habir said, the Prophet ordered Ali to keep on assuming his ihram. The narrator then informed about the narration of Suraka. Sahih al-Bukhari 1557 reference 25 Hadith 43. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik. Ali came to the Prophet, p.b. U.H. from Yemen, to Mecca. The Prophet asked Ali, with what intention have you assumed ihram? Ali replied, I have assumed ihram with the same intention as that of the Prophet. The Prophet said, if I had not the Hadi with me I would have finished the ihram. Muhammad peace be upon him bin Bakr narrated extra from Ibn Jurai, the Prophet said to Ali, with what intention have you assumed the ihram, O Ali? He replied, with the same intention as that of the Prophet. The Prophet said, have a Hadi and keep your ihram as it is. Sahih al-Bukhari 1558 reference 25 Hadith 44. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Musa. The Prophet sent me to some people in Yemen and when I returned, I found him at al-Batha. He asked me, with what intention have you assumed ihram? That is for Hajj or for Umrah or for both? I replied, I have assumed ihram with an intention like that of the Prophet. He asked, have you a Hadi with you? I replied in the negative. He ordered me to perform tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa and then to finish my ihram. I did so and went to a woman from my tribe who combed my hair or washed my head. Then, when Umar came, that is became caliph, he said, if we follow Allah's book, it orders us to complete Hajj and Umrah. As Allah says, perform the Hajj and Umrah for Allah. 2.196. And if we follow the tradition of the Prophet who did not finish his ihram till he sacrificed his Hadi. Sahih al-Bukhari 1559 reference 25 Hadith 45. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Al-Qasim bin Muhammad peace be upon him. Aisha said, we set out with Allah's Messenger in the months of Hajj, and in the nights of Hajj, and at the time and places of Hajj and in a state of Hajj. We dismounted at Sarif, a village 6 miles from Mecca. The Prophet then addressed his companions and said, anyone who has not got the Hadi and likes to do Umrah instead of Hajj may do so, that is Hajj al-Tamattu. And anyone who has got the Hadi should not finish the Ihram after performing Umrah. That is Hajj al-Qiran. Aisha added, the companions of the Prophet obeyed the above order, and some of them, that is who did not have Hadi, finished their Ihram after Umrah. Allah's Messenger and some of his companions were resourceful and had the Hadi with them. They could not perform Umrah alone, but had to perform both Hajj and Umrah with one Ihram. Aisha added, Allah's Messenger came to me and saw me weeping and said, what makes you weep, O Hanta? I replied, I have heard your conversation. Sahih al-Bukhari 1560 reference 25 Hadith 46. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage with your companions and I cannot perform the Umrah. He asked, what is wrong with you? I replied, I do not offer the prayers, that is I have my menses. He said, it will not harm you for you are one of the daughters of Adam, and Allah has written for you this state, as He has written it for them. Keep on with your intentions for Hajj and Allah may reward you that. Aisha further added, then we proceeded for Hajj till we reached Mina and I became clean from my menses. Then I went out from Mina and performed tawaf round the Kaaba. Aisha added, I went along with the Prophet in his final departure from Hajj, till he dismounted at Al-Muhasab, a valley outside Mecca, and we too dismounted with him. He called Abdur Rahman bin Abu Bakr and said to him, take your sister outside the sanctuary of Mecca and let her assume Ihram for Umrah, and when you had finished Umrah, return to this place and I will wait for you both till you both return to me. Aisha added, so we went out of the sanctuary. Sahih al-Bukhari 1560 reference 25 Hadith 46. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage of Mecca and after finishing from the Umrah and the Tawaf we returned to the Prophet at dawn. He said, have you performed the Umrah? We replied in the affirmative. So he announced the departure amongst his companions and the people set out for the journey, and the Prophet, too, left for Medina. Sahih al-Bukhari 1560 reference 25 Hadith 46. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated al-Aswad. Aisha said, we went out with the Prophet, from Medina, with the intention of performing Hajj only and when we reached Mecca we performed tawaf round the Kaaba and then the Prophet ordered those who had not driven the Hadi along with them to finish their Ihram. So the people who had not driven the Hadi along with them finished their Ihram. The Prophet's wives, too, had not driven the Hadi with them, so they too finished their Ihram. Aisha added, I got my menses and could not perform tawaf round the Kaaba. So when it was the night of Hasba, that is when we stopped at Al-Muhasab, I said, O Allah's Messenger, everyone is returning after performing Hajj and Umrah but I am returning after performing Hajj only. He said, didn't you perform tawaf round the Kaaba the night we reached Mecca? I replied in the negative. He said, go with your brother to Tan'im and assume the Ihram for Umrah, and after performing it, come back to such and such a place. On that Safiya said, I feel. Sahih al-Bukhari 1561 reference 25 Hadith 47. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage that I will detain you all. The Prophet said, O Akra Halka, didn't you perform tawaf of the Kaaba on the day of sacrifice? That is tawaf al-Ifada. Safiya replied in the affirmative. He said, to Safiya, there is no harm for you to proceed on with us. Aisha added, after returning from Umrah, the Prophet met me while he was ascending from Mecca, and I was descending to it, or I was ascending and he was descending. Sahih al-Bukhari 1561 reference 25 Hadith 47. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. We set out with Allah's Messenger to Mecca, in the year of the Prophet's last Hajj. Some of us had assumed ihram for Umrah only, some for both Hajj and Umrah, and others for Hajj only. Allah's Apostle assumed ihram for Hajj. So whoever had assumed ihram for Hajj or for both Hajj and Umrah did not finish the ihram till the day of sacrifice. See Hadith number 631, 636, and 639. Sahih al-Bukhari 1562 reference 25 Hadith 48. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Marwan bin al-Hakam. I saw Uthman and Ali. Uthman used to forbid people to perform Hajj at Tamattu and Hajj al-Qiran, Hajj and Umrah together, and when Ali saw this act of Uthman, he assumed ihram for Hajj and Umrah together, saying, Labayik for Umrah and Hajj, and said, I will not leave the tradition of the Prophet on the saying of somebody. Sahih al-Bukhari 1563 reference 25 Hadith 49. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The people, of the pre-Islamic period, used to think that to perform Umrah during the months of Hajj was one of the major sins on earth, and also used to consider the month of Safar as a forbidden, that is sacred, month, and they used to say, when the wounds of the camel's back heal up, after they return from Hajj, and the signs of those wounds vanish and the month of Safar passes away, then, at that time, Umrah is permissible for the one who wishes to perform it. In the morning of the 4th of Dhul Hijjah, the Prophet and his companions reached Mecca, assuming ihram for Hajj, and he ordered his companions to make their intentions of the ihram for Umrah only, instead of Hajj. So they considered his order as something great and were puzzled, and said, O Allah's Messenger, what kind of finishing of ihram is allowed? The Prophet replied, finish the ihram completely like a non-muhrim, you are allowed everything. Sahih al-Bukhari 1564 reference 25 Hadith 50. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Musa came to the Prophet from Yemen and was assuming ihram for Hajj, and he ordered me to finish the ihram after performing the Umrah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1565 reference 25 Hadith 51. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Hafsa, the wife of the Prophet, said, O Allah's Messenger, why have the people finished their ihram after performing Umrah, but you have not finished your ihram after performing Umrah? He replied, I have matted my hair and garlanded my hadi. So I will not finish my ihram till I have slaughtered my hadi. Sahih al-Bukhari 1566 reference 25 Hadith 52. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Shu'bah. Abu Jamra Nasr bin Imran ad-Dubai said, I intended to perform Hajj at Tamattu and the people advised me not to do so. I asked Ibn Abbas regarding it and he ordered me to perform Hajj at Tamattu. Later I saw in a dream someone saying to me, Hajj Mabrur, Hajj performed in accordance with the Prophet's tradition without committing sins and accepted by Allah, and an accepted Umrah. So I told that dream to Ibn Abbas. He said, this is the tradition of Abul Qasim. Then he said to me, stay with me and I shall give you a portion of my property. I, Shu'bah, asked, why did he invite you? He, Abu Jamra, said, because of the dream which I had seen. Sahih al-Bukhari 1567 reference 25 Hadith 53. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Shihab. I left for Mecca for Hajj at Tamattu assuming ihram for Umrah. I reached Mecca 3 days before the day of Tarwiyah, 8th Dhul Hijjah. Some people of Mecca said to me, "Your Hajj will be like the Hajj performed by the people of Mecca. That is, you will lose the superiority of assuming ihram from the Miqat." So I went to Atta asking him his view about it. He said, "Habir bin Abdullah narrated to me, I performed Hajj with Allah's Messenger on the day when he drove camels with him. The people had assumed ihram for Hajj al-Ifrad. The Prophet ordered them to finish their ihram after tawaf round the Kaaba, and between Safa and Marwa, and to cut short their hair and then to stay there, in Mecca, as non-muhrims till the day of Tarwiyah, that is 8th of Dhul Hijjah, when they would assume ihram for Hajj, and they were ordered to make the ihram with which they had come as for Umrah only. They asked, how can we make it Umrah, tamattu, as we have intended to perform Hajj? The Prophet Sahih al-Bukhari 1568 reference 25 Hadith 54. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage said, do what I have ordered you. Had I not brought the hadi with me, I would have done the same, but I cannot finish my ihram till the hadi reaches its destination, that is slaughtered. So, they did what he ordered them to do. Sahih al-Bukhari 1568 reference 25 Hadith 54. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Sa'id bin al-Musayyab. Ali and Uthman differed regarding Hajj at Tamattu while they were at Usfan, a familiar place near Mecca. Ali said, I see you want to forbid people to do a thing that the Prophet did? When Ali saw that, he assumed ihram for both Hajj and Umrah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1569 reference 25 Hadith 55. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Habir bin Abdullah. We came with Allah's Messenger to Mecca, and we were saying, Labbaika Allahumma labbaik for Hajj. Allah's Messenger ordered us to perform Umrah with that ihram, instead of Hajj. Sahih al-Bukhari 1570 reference 25 Hadith 56. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Imran. We performed Hajj at Tamattu in the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, and then the Quran was revealed regarding Hajj at Tamattu. And somebody said what he wished regarding Hajj at Tamattu, according his own opinion. Sahih al-Bukhari 1571 reference 25 Hadith 57. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Ibn Abbas said that he has been asked regarding Hajj at Tamattu, on which he said, the Muhajirin and the Ansar and the wives of the Prophet and we did the same. When we reached Makkah, Allah's Messenger said, give up your intention of doing the Hajj at this moment, and perform Umrah, except the one who had garlanded the hadi. So, we performed tawaf round the Kaaba and, say, between As-Safa and Al-Marwa, slept with our wives and wore ordinary, stitched, clothes. The Prophet added, whoever has garlanded his hadi is not allowed to finish the ihram till the hadi has reached its destination, has been sacrificed. Then on the night of Tarwiyah, 8th Dhul Hijjah, in the afternoon, he ordered us to assume ihram for Hajj, and when we have performed all the ceremonies of Hajj, we came and performed tawaf round the Kaaba and, say, between As-Safa and Al-Marwa, and then our Hajj was complete, and we had to sacrifice a hadi according to the statement of Allah. He must slaughter a hadi such as he. Sahih al-Bukhari 1572 reference 25 Hadith 58. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage can afford, but if he cannot afford it, he should observe or psalm, fasts, 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days after his return to his home. v. 2-196. And the sacrifice of the sheep is sufficient. So, the Prophet and his companions joined the two religious deeds, that is Hajj and Umrah, in 1 year, for Allah revealed the permissibility of such practice in his book and in the Sunnah, legal ways, of his Prophet, and rendered it permissible for all the people except those living in Makkah. Allah says, This is for him whose family is not present at the Al-Masjid al-Haram, that is non-resident of Makkah. The months of Hajj which Allah mentioned in His book are Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah. Whoever performed Hajj at Tamattu in those months, then slaughtering or fasting is compulsory for him. The words 1. Ar Rafatha means sexual intercourse. 2. Al-Fasaq means all kinds of sin, and 3. Al-Jidal means to dispute. Sahih al-Bukhari 1572 reference 25 Hadith 58. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. On reaching the sanctuary of Mecca, Ibn Umar used to stop, reciting Talbiyah, and then he would pass the night at Dhituwa and then offer the Fajr prayer and take a bath. He used to say that the Prophet used to do the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1573 reference 25 Hadith 59. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar said, the Prophet passed the night at Dhituwa till it was dawn and then he entered Mecca. Ibn Umar used to do the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1574 reference 25 Hadith 60. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger used to enter Mecca from the high Taniyah and used to leave Mecca from the low Taniyah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1575 reference 25 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger entered Mecca from Qa'dah from the highest Taniyah which is at al-Batha and used to leave Mecca from the low Taniyah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1576 reference 25 Hadith 62. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. When the Prophet came to Mecca he entered from its higher side and left from its lower side. Sahih al-Bukhari 1577 reference 25 Hadith 63. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. In the year of the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet entered Mecca from Qa'dah and left Mecca from Qudah, from the higher part of Mecca. Sahih al-Bukhari 1578 reference 25 Hadith 64. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. In the year of the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet entered Mecca from Qa'dah at the higher place of Mecca. Hisham, a sub-narrator said, Urwa used to enter Mecca from both Qa'dah and Qudah and he often entered through Qa'dah which was nearer to his dwelling place. Sahih al-Bukhari 1579 reference 25 Hadith 65. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Hisham. Urwa said, the Prophet entered Mecca in the year of the conquest of Mecca from the side of Qa'dah which is at the higher part of Mecca. Urwa often entered from Qa'dah which was nearer of the two to his dwelling place. Sahih al-Bukhari 1580 reference 25 Hadith 66. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Hisham from his father. In the year of the conquest of Mecca, the Prophet entered Mecca from the side of Qa'dah. Urwa used to enter through both places and he often entered through Qa'dah which was nearer of the two to his dwelling place. Sahih al-Bukhari 1581 reference 25 Hadith 67. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Habir bin Abdullah. When the Kaaba was built, the Prophet and Abbas went to bring stones for its construction. Al-Abbas said to the Prophet, take off your waist sheet and put it on your neck. When the Prophet took it off, he fell on the ground with his eyes open towards the sky and said, give me my waist sheet. And he covered himself with it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1582 reference 25 Hadith 68. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha sad face. the wife of the Prophet, that Allah's Messenger said to her, "Do you know that when your people, Quraysh, rebuilt the Kaaba, they decreased it from its original foundation laid by Abraham?" I said, "O Allah's Messenger, why don't you rebuild it on its original foundation laid by Abraham?" He replied, "Were it not for the fact that your people are close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, that is, they have recently become Muslims, I would have done so." The sub-narrator, Abdullah bin Umar, stated, "Aisha must have heard this from Allah's Messenger, for in my opinion Allah's Messenger had not placed his hand over the two corners of the Kaaba opposite Al-Hijr only because the Kaaba was not rebuilt on its original foundations laid by Abraham." Sahih al-Bukhari 1583 reference 25 Hadith 69. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha, I asked the Prophet whether the round wall, near Kaaba, was part of the Kaaba. The Prophet replied in the affirmative. I further said, "What is wrong with them? Why have they not included it in the building of the Kaaba?" He said, "Don't you see that your people, Quraysh, ran short of money, so they could not include it inside the building of Kaaba?" I asked, "What about its gate? Why is it so high?" He replied, "Your people did this so as to admit into it whomever they liked and prevent whomever they liked." Were your people not close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, that is, they have recently embraced Islam, and were I not afraid that they would dislike it, surely I would have included the area of the wall inside the building of the Kaaba, and I would have lowered its gate to the level of the ground. Sahih al-Bukhari 1584 reference 25 Hadith 70. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger said to me, "Were your people not close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I would have demolished the Kaaba and would have rebuilt it on its original foundations laid by Abraham, for Quraysh had curtailed its building, and I would have built a back door, too." Sahih al-Bukhari 1585 reference 25 Hadith 71. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Yazid bin Ruman from Urwa. Aisha said that the Prophet said to her, "O Aisha, were your nation not close to the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, I would have had the Kaaba demolished and would have included in it the portion which had been left, and would have made it at a level with the ground and would have made two doors for it, one towards the east and the other towards the west. And then by doing this it would have been built on the foundations laid by Abraham." That was what urged Ibn az-Zubair to demolish the Kaaba. Jaz said, "I saw Ibn az-Zubair when he demolished and rebuilt the Kaaba and included in it a portion of Al-Hijr, the unroofed portion of Kaaba which is at present in the form of a compound towards the northwest of the Kaaba. I saw the original foundations of Abraham which were of stones resembling the humps of camels." So Jarir asked Yazid, "Where was the place of those stones?" Jaz said, "I will just now show it to you." So Jarir accompanied Yazid and entered Sahih al-Bukhari 1586 reference 25 Hadith 72. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Al-Hijr, and Jaz pointed to a place and said, "Here it is." Jarir said, "It appeared to me about 6 cubits from Al-Hijr or so." Sahih al-Bukhari 1586 reference 25 Hadith 72. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. On the day of the conquest of Mecca, Allah's Messenger said, "Allah has made this town a sanctuary. Its thorny bushes should not be cut, its game should not be chased, and its fallen things should not be picked up except by one who would announce it publicly." Sahih al-Bukhari 1587 reference 25 Hadith 73. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Usama bin Zayd. I asked, "O Allah's Messenger, where will you stay in Mecca? Will you stay in your house in Mecca?" He replied, Has Aqil left any property or house? Aqil along with Talib had inherited the property of Abu Talib. Jafar and Ali did not inherit anything as they were Muslims and the other two were non-believers. Umar bin al-Khattab used to say, "A believer cannot inherit anything from an infidel." Ibn Shihab, a sub-narrator, said, "They, Umar and others, derived the above verdict from Allah's statement, 'Verily, those who believed and emigrated and strove with their life and property in Allah's cause, and those who helped the emigrants, and gave them their places to live in, these are all allies to one another.'" 8.72 Sahih al-Bukhari 1588 reference 25 Hadith 74. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. When Allah's Messenger intended to enter Mecca he said, "Our destination tomorrow, if Allah wished, will be Kayf Bani Kanana where the pagans had taken the oath of Kufr against the Prophet, that is to be loyal to heathenism by boycotting Bani Hashim. The Prophet spoke." See Hadith 3882. Sahih al-Bukhari 1589 reference 25 Hadith 75. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. On the day of Nahr at Mina, the Prophet said, "Tomorrow we shall stay at Kayf Bani Kanana where the pagans had taken the oath of Kufr, heathenism." He meant, by that place, Al-Muhasab where the Quraysh tribe and Bani Kanana concluded a contract against Bani Hashim and Bani Abdul Muttalib or Bani al-Muttalib that they would not intermarry with them or deal with them in business until they handed over the Prophet to them. Sahih al-Bukhari 1590 reference 25 Hadith 76. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "Dhu suwaika toin," literally, "one with two lean legs, from Ethiopia will demolish the Kaaba." Sahih al-Bukhari 1591 reference 25 Hadith 77. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. The people used to fast on Ashura, the 10th day of the month of Muharram, before the fasting of Ramadan was made obligatory. And on that day the Kaaba used to be covered with a cover. When Allah made the fasting of the month of Ramadan compulsory, Allah's Messenger said, "Whoever wishes to fast on the day of Ashura may do so, and whoever wishes to leave it can do so." Sahih al-Bukhari 1592 reference 25 Hadith 78. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet said the people will continue performing the Hajj and Umrah to the Kaaba even after the appearance of Gog and Magog. Narrated Shu Ba Extra. The hour, day of judgment, will not be established till the Hajj, to the Kaaba, is abandoned. Sahih al-Bukhari 1593 reference 25 Hadith 79. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Wail sad face. One day, I sat along with Shayba on the chair inside the Kaaba. He, Shayba, said, "No doubt, Umar sat at this place and said, I intended not to leave any yellow, that is gold, or white, that is silver, inside the Kaaba, undistributed." I said to Umar, "But your two companions, that is the Prophet and Abu Bakr, did not do so." Umar said, "They are the two persons whom I always follow." Sahih al-Bukhari 1594 reference 25 Hadith 80. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, "As if I were looking at him, a black person with thin legs plucking the stones of the Kaaba one after another." Sahih al-Bukhari 1595 reference 25 Hadith 81. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, Dhu Suwaikatain, the thin-legged man from Ethiopia will demolish the Kaaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1596 reference 25 Hadith 82. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abis bin Rabi'a. Umar came near the black stone and kissed it and said, No doubt, I know that you are a stone and can neither benefit anyone nor harm anyone. Had I not seen Allah's Messenger kissing you, I would not have kissed you. Sahih al-Bukhari 1597 reference 25 Hadith 83. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim that his father said, Allah's Messenger, Usama bin Zayd, Bilal, and Uthman bin Abu Talha entered the Kaaba and then closed its door. When they opened the door, I was the first person to enter the Kaaba. I met Bilal and asked him, Did Allah's Messenger offer a prayer inside the Kaaba? Bilal replied in the affirmative and said, The Prophet offered the prayer in between the two right pillars. Sahih al-Bukhari 1598 reference 25 Hadith 84. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Whenever Ibn Umar entered the Kaaba, he used to walk straight, keeping the door at his back on entering, and used to proceed on till about 3 cubits from the wall in front of him, and then he would offer the prayer there, aiming at the place where Allah's Messenger prayed, as Bilal had told him. There is no harm for any person to offer the prayer at any place inside the Kaaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1599 reference 25 Hadith 85. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ismaili bin Abu Khalid. Abdullah bin Abu Awfa said, Allah's Messenger performed the Umrah. He performed tawaf of the Kaaba and offered 2 rakat behind the Maqam, Abraham's place, and was accompanied by those who were screening him from the people. Somebody asked Abdullah, Did Allah's Messenger enter the Kaaba? Abdullah replied in the negative. Sahih al-Bukhari 1600 reference 25 Hadith 86. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. When Allah's Messenger came to Mecca, he refused to enter the Kaaba with idols in it. He ordered idols to be taken out. So they were taken out. The people took out the pictures of Abraham and Ishmael holding aslams in their hands. Allah's Messenger said, May Allah curse these people. By Allah, both Abraham and Ishmael never did the game of chance with aslams. Then he entered the Kaaba and said takbir at its corners but did not offer the prayer in it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1601 reference 25 Hadith 87. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. When Allah's Messenger and his companions came to Mecca, the pagans circulated the news that a group of people were coming to them and they had been weakened by the fever of Yathrib, Medina. So the Prophet ordered his companions to do ramal in the first 3 rounds of tawaf of the Kaaba and to walk between the 2 corners, the Black Stone and Yemenite corner. The Prophet did not order them to do ramal in all the rounds of tawaf out of pity for them. Sahih al-Bukhari 1602 reference 25 Hadith 88. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim that his father said, I saw Allah's Messenger arriving at Mecca. He kissed the black stone corner first while doing tawaf and did ramal in the first 3 rounds of the 7 rounds of tawaf. Sahih al-Bukhari 1603 reference 25 Hadith 89. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Umar. The Prophet did ramal in first 3 rounds of tawaf and walked in the remaining 4 in Hajj and Umrah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1604 reference 25 Hadith 90. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Zayd bin Aslam from his father who said, Umar bin al-Khattab addressed the corner, black stone, saying, "By Allah, I know that you are a stone and can neither benefit nor harm. Had I not seen the Prophet touching and kissing you, I would never have touched and kissed you." Then he kissed it and said, "There is no reason for us to do ramal in tawaf, except that we wanted to show off before the pagans, and now Allah has destroyed them." Umar added, "Nevertheless, the Prophet did that and we do not want to leave it, that is ramal." Sahih al-Bukhari 1605 reference 25 Hadith 91. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi, Ibn Umar said, "I have never missed the touching of these two stones of Kaaba, the black stone and the Yemenite corner, both in the presence and the absence of crowds, since I saw the Prophet touching them." I asked Nafi, "Did Ibn Umar used to walk between the two corners?" Nafi replied, "He used to walk in order that it might be easy for him to touch it, the cornerstone." Sahih al-Bukhari 1606 reference 25 Hadith 92. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. In his last Hajj the Prophet performed tawaf of the Kaaba riding a camel and pointed a bent-headed stick towards the corner, black stone. Sahih al-Bukhari 1607 reference 25 Hadith 93. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Abu Ash-Shatha said, "Who keeps away from some portion of the Kaaba?" Muawiyah used to touch the four corners of the Kaaba. Ibn Abbas said to him, "These two corners, the one facing the higher, are not to be touched." Muawiyah said, "Nothing is untouchable in the Kaaba." And Ibn az-Zubair used to touch all the corners of the Kaaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1608 reference 25 Hadith 94. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim bin Abdullah that his father said, "I have not seen the Prophet touching except the two Yemenite corners, that is the ones facing Yemen." Sahih al-Bukhari 1609 reference 25 Hadith 95. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Zayd bin Aslam that his father said, "I saw Umar bin al-Khattab kissing the black stone and he then said to it, 'Had I not seen Allah's apostle kissing you, stone, I would not have kissed you.'" Sahih al-Bukhari 1610 reference 25 Hadith 96. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated as Zubair bin Arabi. A man asked Ibn Umar about the touching of the black stone. Ibn Umar said, "I saw Allah's messenger touching and kissing it." The questioner said, "But if there were a throng, much rush, round the Kaaba and the people overpowered me, what would I do?" He replied angrily, "Stay in Yemen, as that man was from Yemen. I saw Allah's messenger touching and kissing it." Sahih al-Bukhari 1611 reference 25 Hadith 97. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet performed tawaf of the Kaaba while riding a camel, and whenever he came in front of the corner, he pointed towards it, with something. Sahih al-Bukhari 1612 reference 25 Hadith 98. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet performed tawaf of the Kaaba riding a camel, and every time he came in front of the corner, having the black stone, he pointed towards it with something he had with him and said takbir. Sahih al-Bukhari 1613 reference 25 Hadith 99. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Urwa. Aisha said, "The first thing the Prophet did on reaching Mecca was the ablution, and then he performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and that was not Umrah alone, but Hajj al-Qiran." Urwa added, Later Abu Bakr and Umar did the same in their Hajj. And I performed the Hajj with my father as Zubair, and the first thing he did was tawaf of the Kaaba. Later I saw the Muhajirin, emigrants, and the Ansar doing the same. My mother, Asma, told me that she, her sister, Aisha, as Zubair and such persons assumed ihram for Umrah, and after they passed their hands over the black stone corner of the Kaaba, they finished the ihram. That is after doing tawaf of the Kaaba and sa'i between Safa Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1614, 1615 reference 25 Hadith 100. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Umar. When Allah's Messenger performed tawaf of the Kaaba for Hajj or Umrah, he used to do ramal during the first 3 rounds, and in the last 4 rounds he used to walk. Then after the tawaf he used to offer 2 rakat and then performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1616 reference 25 Hadith 101. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. When the Prophet performed the tawaf of the Kaaba, he did ramal during the first 3 rounds and in the last 4 rounds he used to walk, and while doing tawaf between Safa and Marwa, he used to run in the midst of the rain-water passage. Sahih al-Bukhari 1617 reference 25 Hadith 102. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Ibn Jurai said, Atta informed us that when Ibn Hisham forbade women to perform tawaf with men, he said to him, "How do you forbid them while the wives of the Prophet used to perform tawaf with the men?" I said, "Was this before decreeing of the use of the veil or after it?" Atta took an oath and said, "I saw it after the order of veil." I said, "How did they mix with the men?" Atta said, "The women never mixed with the men, and Aisha used to perform tawaf separately and never mixed with men." Once it happened that Aisha was performing the tawaf and woman said to her, "O mother of believers, let us touch the black stone." Aisha said to her, "Go yourself," and she herself refused to do so. The wives of the Prophet used to come out in night, in disguise, and used to perform tawaf with men. But whenever they intended to enter the Kaaba, they would stay outside till the men had gone out. I and Ubayd bin Umair used to visit Aisha while she was residing at Jaf Tabir. I asked, what was her veil? Sahih al-Bukhari 1618 reference 25 Hadith 103. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Atta said, she was wearing an old Turkish veil, and that was the only thing, veil, which was screen between us and her. I saw a pink cover on her. Sahih al-Bukhari 1618 reference 25 Hadith 103. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salama sad face, the wife of the Prophet. I informed Allah's Messenger that I was ill. So he said, "Perform the tawaf while riding behind the people." I did so, and at that time the Prophet was praying beside the Kaaba and reciting Surat at-Tur. Sahih al-Bukhari 1619 reference 25 Hadith 104. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. While the Prophet was performing tawaf of the Kaaba, he passed by a person who had tied his hands to another person with a rope or string or something like that. The Prophet cut it with his own hands and said, "Lead him by the hand." Sahih al-Bukhari 1620 reference 25 Hadith 105. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet saw a man performing tawaf of the Kaaba tied with a string or something else. So the Prophet cut that string. Sahih al-Bukhari 1621 reference 25 Hadith 106. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. In the year prior to the last Hajj of the Prophet, when Allah's Messenger made Abu Bakr the leader of the pilgrims, the latter, Abu Bakr, sent me in the company of a group of people to make a public announcement. No pagan is allowed to perform Hajj after this year, and no naked person is allowed to perform Tawaf of the Kaaba. See Hadith number 365 Volume 1, Sahih al-Bukhari 1622 reference 25 Hadith 107. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Amr. We asked Ibn Umar, may a man have sexual relations with his wife during the Umrah before performing Tawaf between Safa and Marwa? He said, Allah's Messenger arrived in Mecca and circumambulated the Kaaba 7 times, then offered 2 rak'at behind Maqam Ibrahim, the station of Abraham, then performed Tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Ibn Umar added, verily, in Allah's Apostle you have a good example. And I asked Habir bin Abdullah the same question, and he replied, you should not go near your wives, have sexual relations, till you have finished Tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1623, 1624 reference 25 Hadith 108. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet arrived at Mecca and performed Tawaf of the Kaaba and Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, but he did not go near the Kaaba after his Tawaf till he returned from Arafat. Sahih al-Bukhari 1625 reference 25 Hadith 109. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salama sad face. The wife of the Prophet. I informed Allah's Messenger about my illness. Through other sub-narrators, Salama narrated that when Allah's Messenger was at Mecca and had just decided to leave Mecca, while she had not yet done Tawaf of the Kaaba, and after listening to her, the Prophet said, when the morning prayer is established, perform the Tawaf on your camel while the people are in prayer. So she did the same and did not offer the 2 rak'at of Tawaf until she came out of the mosque. Sahih al-Bukhari 1626 reference 25 Hadith 110. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet reached Mecca, circumambulated the Kaaba 7 times and then offered a 2 rak'at prayer behind Maqam Ibrahim. Then he went towards the Safa. Allah has said, verily, in Allah's Apostle you have a good example. Sahih al-Bukhari 1627 reference 25 Hadith 111. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Urwa from Aisha. Some people performed Tawaf of the Kaaba after the morning prayer and then sat to listen to a preacher till sunrise, and then they stood up for the prayer. Then Aisha commented, those people kept on sitting till it was the time in which the prayer is disliked and after that they stood up for the prayer. Sahih al-Bukhari 1628 reference 25 Hadith 112. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah. I heard the Prophet forbidding the offering of prayers at the time of sunrise and sunset. Sahih al-Bukhari 1629 reference 25 Hadith 113. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abida bin Humayd. Abdul Aziz bin Rufai said, I saw Abdullah bin Az-Zubair performing Tawaf of the Kaaba after the morning prayer then offering the 2 rak'at prayer. Abdul Aziz added, I saw Abdullah bin Az-Zubair offering a 2 rak'at prayer after the Asr prayer. He informed me that Aisha told him that the Prophet used to offer those 2 rak'at whenever he entered her house. Sahih al-Bukhari 1630. 1631 reference 25 Hadith 114. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Allah's Messenger performed Tawaf of the Kaaba riding a camel. At that time the Prophet had a foot injury. Whenever he came to the corner, having the black stone, he would point out towards it with the thing in his hand and say, Allahu Akbar. Sahih al-Bukhari 1632 reference 25 Hadith 115. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salama. I informed Allah's Messenger that I was sick. He said, perform tawaf, of the Kaaba, while riding behind the people. So, I performed the tawaf while Allah's Messenger was offering the prayer beside the Kaaba and was reciting Surat at-Tur. Sahih al-Bukhari 1633 reference 25 Hadith 116. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib asked the permission of Allah's Messenger to let him stay in Mecca during the nights of Mina in order to provide the pilgrims with water to drink, so the Prophet permitted him. Sahih al-Bukhari 1634 reference 25 Hadith 117. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Allah's Messenger came to the drinking place and asked for water. Al-Abbas said, O Fadl, go to your mother and bring water from her for Allah's Messenger. Allah's Messenger said, give me water to drink. Al-Abbas said, O Allah's Messenger. The people put their hands in it. Allah's Messenger again said, give me water to drink. So, he drank from that water and then went to the Zamzam well. And there the people were offering water to the others and working at it, drawing water from the well. The Prophet then said to them, carry on. You are doing a good deed. Then he said, were I not afraid that other people would compete with you in drawing water from Zamzam, I would certainly take the rope and put it over this, that is his shoulder, to draw water. On saying that, the Prophet pointed to his shoulder. Sahih al-Bukhari 1635 reference 25 Hadith 118. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik that Abu Dar said, Allah's Messenger said, the roof of my house was made open while I was at Makkah, on the night of Miraj, and Jibril descended. He opened up my chest and washed it with the water of Zamzam. He brought the golden tray full of wisdom and belief and poured it in my chest and then closed it. He took hold of my hand and ascended to the nearest heaven. Jibril told the gatekeeper of the nearest heaven to open the gate. The gatekeeper asked, who is it? Jibril replied, I am Jibril. See Hadith number 349 volume .1. Sahih al-Bukhari 1636 reference 25 Hadith 119. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. I gave Zamzam water to Allah's Messenger and he drank it while standing. Asim, a sub-narrator, said that Ikrimah took the oath that on that day the Prophet had not been standing but riding a camel. Sahih al-Bukhari 1637 reference 25 Hadith 120. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. We set out with Allah's Messenger in the year of his last Hajj and we mended the ihram for Umrah. Then the Prophet said, whoever has a hadi with him should assume ihram for both Hajj and Umrah, and should not finish it till he performs both of them, Hajj and Umrah. When we reached Mecca, I had my menses. When we had performed our Hajj, the Prophet sent me with Abdur Rahman to Tan'im and I performed the Umrah. The Prophet said, this is in lieu of your missed Umrah. Those who had assumed ihram for Umrah performed tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, and then finished their ihram. And then they performed another tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, after returning from Mina. And those who had assumed Ram for Hajj and Umrah to get her Hajj Qiran, performed only one tawaf, between Safa and Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1638 reference 25 Hadith 121. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar and his riding animal entered the house of Ibn Umar. He, the son of Ibn Umar, said, "I fear that this year a battle might take place between the people and you might be prevented from going to the Kaaba. I suggest that you should stay here." Ibn Umar said, "Once Allah's messenger set out for the pilgrimage, and the pagans of Quraysh intervened between him and the Kaaba. So, if the people intervened between me and the Kaaba, I would do the same as Allah's messenger had done. Verily, in Allah's messenger you have a good example." Then he added, "I make you a witness that I have intended to perform Hajj along with Umrah." After arriving at Mecca, Ibn Umar performed one tawaf only, between Safa and Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1639 reference 25 Hadith 122. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar intended to perform Hajj in the year when al-Hajjaj attacked Ibn az-Zubair. Somebody said to Ibn Umar, "There is a danger of an impending war between them." Ibn Umar said, "Verily, in Allah's messenger you have a good example. And if it happened as you say, then I would do the same as Allah's messenger had done. I make you witness that I have decided to perform Umrah." Then he set out, and when he reached Al-Baida, he said, "The ceremonies of both Hajj and Umrah are similar. I make you witness that I have made Hajj compulsory for me along with Umrah." He drove to Mecca, a hadi which he had bought from a place called Qudayd, and did not do more than that. He did not slaughter the hadi or finish his ihram, or shave or cut short his hair till the day of slaughtering the sacrifices, 10th Dhul-Hijjah. Then he slaughtered his hadi and shaved his head and considered the first tawaf, of Safa and Marwa, as sufficient for Hajj and Umrah. Ibn Umar said, Allah's Messenger Sahih al-Bukhari 1640 reference 25 Hadith 123. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage did the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1640 reference 25 Hadith 123. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Muhammad peace be upon him bin Abdur Rahman bin Nawfal al-Qurashi. I asked Urwa bin az-Zubair regarding the Hajj of the Prophet. Urwa replied, Aisha narrated, when the Prophet reached Mecca, the first thing he started with was the ablution. Then he performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and his intention was not Umrah alone, but Hajj and Umrah together. Later Abu Bakr I performed the Hajj, and the first thing he started with was tawaf of the Kaaba, and it was not Umrah alone, but Hajj and Umrah together. And then Umar did the same. Then Uthman performed the Hajj, and the first thing he started with was tawaf of the Kaaba, and it was not Umrah alone. And then Muawiyah and Abdullah bin Umar did the same. I performed Hajj with Ibn az-Zubair, and the first thing he started with was tawaf of the Kaaba, and it was not Umrah alone, but Hajj and Umrah together. Then I saw the Muhajirin, emigrants, and Ansar doing the same, and it was not Umrah alone. And the last person I saw doing the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1641, 1642 reference 25 Hadith 124. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage was Ibn Umar, and he did not do another Umrah after finishing the first. Now here is Ibn Umar present amongst the people. They neither ask him nor anyone of the previous ones. And all these people, on entering Mecca, would not start with anything unless they had performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and would not finish their ihram. And no doubt, I saw my mother and my aunt, on entering Mecca doing nothing before performing tawaf of the Kaaba, and they would not finish their ihram. And my mother informed me that she, her sister, az-Zubair and such persons had assumed ihram for Umrah, and after passing their hands over the corner, the black stone, that is finishing their Umrah, they finished their ihram. Sahih al-Bukhari 1641, 1642 reference 25 Hadith 124. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Urwa. I asked Aisha, how do you interpret the statement of Allah? Verily, the mountains, as Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah, and whoever performs the Hajj to the Kaaba or performs Umrah, it is not harmful for him to perform tawaf between them. Safa and Marwa. 2.158. By Allah, it is evident from this revelation, there is no harm if one does not perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Aisha said, "Oh, my nephew, your interpretation is not true. Had this interpretation of yours been correct, the statement of Allah should have been, it is not harmful for him if he does not perform tawaf between them." But in fact, this divine inspiration was revealed concerning the Ansar who used to assume Ram for worshipping an idol called Manat which they used to worship at a place called Al-Mushalal before they embraced Islam, and whoever assumed Iram for the idol would consider it not right to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. When they embraced Islam, they Sahih al-Bukhari 1643 reference 25 Hadith 125. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage asked Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., regarding it, saying, O Allah's Apostle, we used to refrain from tawaf between Safa and Marwa. So Allah revealed, verily, the mountains, as Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah. Aisha added, surely, Allah's Apostle set the tradition of tawaf between Safa and Marwa, so nobody is allowed to omit the tawaf between them. Later on Urwa, told Abu Bakr bin Abdur Rahman, of Aisha's narration, and he said, I have not heard of such information, but I heard learned men saying that all the people, except those whom Aisha mentioned and who used to assume Ram for the sake of Manat, used to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa. When Allah referred to the tawaf of the Kaaba and did not mention Safa and Marwa in the Quran, the people asked, O Allah's Messenger, we used to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa, and Allah has revealed the verses concerning tawaf of the Kaaba and has not mentioned Safa and Marwa. Is there any harm if we perform tawaf between Sahih al-Bukhari 1643 reference 25 Hadith 125. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Safa and Marwa? So Allah revealed, verily as Safa and Al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah. Abu Bakr said, it seems that this verse was revealed concerning the two groups, those who used to refrain from tawaf between Safa and Marwa in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance and those who used to perform the tawaf then, and after embracing Islam they refrained from the tawaf between them as Allah had enjoined tawaf of the Kaaba and did not mention tawaf of Safa and Marwa, till later after mentioning the tawaf of the Kaaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1643 reference 25 Hadith 125. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar said, when Allah's Messenger performed the first tawaf he did ramal in the first 3 rounds and then walked in the remaining 4 rounds of tawaf of the Kaaba. Whereas in performing tawaf between Safa and Marwa he used to run in the midst of the rainwater passage. I asked Nafi, did Abdullah bin Umar used to walk steadily on reaching the Yemenite corner? He replied, no, unless people were crowded at the corner, otherwise he would not leave it without touching it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1644 reference 25 Hadith 126. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Amr bin Dinar. We asked Ibn Umar whether a man who, while performing Umrah, had performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and had not yet performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa, could have sexual relation with his wife. Ibn Umar replied, the Prophet, P.B. U. reached Mecca and performed the 7 rounds of tawaf of the Kaaba and then offered a 2-rakat prayer behind Maqam Ibrahim and then performed the 7 rounds of tawaf between Safa and Marwa. He added, "Verily, in Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., you have a good example." We asked Habir bin Abdullah the same question, and he said, that man, should not come near his wife till he has completed tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1645, 1646 reference 25 Hadith 127. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Amr bin Dinar. I heard Ibn Umar saying, the Prophet arrived at Mecca and performed tawaf of the Kaaba and then offered a 2-rakat prayer and then performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Ibn Umar then recited the verse, "Verily, in Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., you have a good example." Sahih al-Bukhari 1647 reference 25 Hadith 128. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Asim. I asked Anas bin Malik, did you used to dislike to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa? He said, yes, as it was of the ceremonies of the days of the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, till Allah revealed, verily, the 2 mountains, as Safa and al-Marwa are among the symbols of Allah. It is therefore no sin for him who performs the pilgrimage to the Kaaba, or performs Umrah, to perform tawaf between them. 2.158. Sahih al-Bukhari 1648 reference 25 Hadith 129. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Allah's Messenger performed tawaf of the Kaaba and the Sa'i of Safa and Marwa so as to show his strength to the pagans. Sahih al-Bukhari 1649 reference 25 Hadith 130. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I was menstruating when I reached Mecca. So, I neither performed tawaf of the Kaaba, nor the tawaf between Safa and Marwa. Then I informed Allah's Messenger about it. He replied, perform all the ceremonies of Hajj like the other pilgrims, but do not perform tawaf of the Kaaba till you get clean from your menses. Sahih al-Bukhari 1650 reference 25 Hadith 131. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Habir bin Abdullah. The Prophet and his companions assumed ihram for Hajj and none except the Prophet, P.B. U.H. and Talha had the hadi, sacrifice, with them. Ali arrived from Yemen and had a hadi with him. Ali said, I have assumed ihram for what the Prophet has done. The Prophet ordered his companions to perform the Umrah with the ram which they had assumed, and after finishing tawaf of Kaaba, Safa and Marwa, to cut short their hair, and to finish their ram except those who had hadi with them. They, the people, said, how can we proceed to Mina for Hajj, after having sexual relations with our wives? When that news reached the Prophet he said, if I had formerly known what I came to know lately, I would not have brought the hadi with me. Had there been no hadi with me, I would have finished the state of ram. Aisha got her menses, so she performed all the ceremonies of Hajj except tawaf of the Kaaba, and when she got clean from her menses, she performed tawaf of Sahih al-Bukhari 1651 reference 25 Hadith 132. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage the Kaaba. She said, O Allah's Messenger, all of you are returning with the Hajj and Umrah, but I am returning after performing Hajj only. So the Prophet ordered Abdur Rahman bin Abu Bakr to accompany her to Tan'im and thus she performed the Umrah after the Hajj. Sahih al-Bukhari 1651 reference 25 Hadith 132. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Hafsa sad face. On ID. We used to forbid our virgins to go out for ID prayer. A lady came and stayed at the fortress of Bani Khalif. She mentioned that her sister was married to one of the companions of Allah's Messenger who participated in 12 Ghazawats along with Allah's Messenger, and her sister was with him in 6 of them. She said, "We used to dress the wounded and look after the patients." She, her sister, asked Allah's Messenger, "Is there any harm for a woman to stay at home if she doesn't have a veil?" He said, "She should cover herself with the veil of her companion, and she should take part in the good deeds and in the religious gatherings of the believers." When Atiyah came, I asked her, "Did you hear anything about that?" Atiyah said, "By Abi," and she never mentioned the name of Allah's Messenger without saying by Abi. That is, "Let my father be sacrificed for you." We asked her, "Have you heard Allah's Messenger saying so and so about women?" She replied in the affirmative. Sahih al-Bukhari 1652 reference 25 Hadith 133. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage, and said, "Let my father be sacrificed for him." He told us that unmarried mature virgins who stay often screened, or unmarried young virgins and mature girls who stay often screened, should come out and take part in the good deeds and in the religious gatherings of the believers. But the menstruating women should keep away from the musalla, praying place. I asked her, "The menstruating women?" She replied, "Don't they present themselves at Arafat and at such and such places?" Sahih al-Bukhari 1652 reference 25 Hadith 133. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdul Aziz bin Rufai. I asked Anas bin Malik, "Tell me what you remember from Allah's Messenger regarding these questions. Where did he offer the Zuhr and Asr prayers on the day of Tarwiyah, 8th day of Dhul Hijjah?" He relied, "He offered these prayers at Mina." I asked, "Where did he offer the Asr prayer on the day of Nafr, that is departure from Mina, on the 12th or 13th of Dhul Hijjah?" He replied, "At Al-Abta," and then added, "You should do as your chiefs do." Sahih al-Bukhari 1653 reference 25 Hadith 134. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdul Aziz. I went out to Mina on the day of Tarwiyah and met Anas going on a donkey. I asked him, "Where did the Prophet offer the Zuhr prayer on this day?" Anas replied, "See where your chiefs pray and pray similarly." Sahih al-Bukhari 1654 reference 25 Hadith 135. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's Messenger offered a 2-rakat prayer at Mina. Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman, during the early years of his caliphate, followed the same practice. Sahih al-Bukhari 1655 reference 25 Hadith 136. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Haritha bin Wahab al-Khuzai. The Prophet led us in a 2-rakat prayer at Mina, although our number was more than ever and we were in better security than ever. Sahih al-Bukhari 1656 reference 25 Hadith 137. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Mas'ud. I offered only a 2-rakat prayer with the Prophet at Mina, and similarly with Abu Bakr and with Umar, and then UD offered in opinions. Wish that I would be lucky enough to have 2 of the 4 rakat accepted, by Allah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1657 reference 25 Hadith 138. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated al-Fadl. The people doubted whether the Prophet was observing the fast on the day of Arafat, so I sent something for him to drink and he drank it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1658 reference 25 Hadith 139. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Muhammad peace be upon him bin Abu Bakr al-Thaqafi. I asked Anas bin Malik while we were proceeding from Mina to Arafat, what do you used to do on this day when you were with Allah's Messenger? Anas said, some of us used to recite Talbiyah and nobody objected to that, and others used to recite Takbir and nobody objected to that. Sahih al-Bukhari 1659 reference 25 Hadith 140. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim. Abdul Malik wrote to al-Hajjaj that he should not differ from Ibn Umar during Hajj. On the day of Arafat, when the sun declined at midday, Ibn Umar came along with me and shouted near al-Hajjaj's cotton cloth tent. Al-Hajjaj came out, wrapping himself with a waist sheet dyed with safflower, and said, O Abu Abdur Rahman! What is the matter? He said, if you want to follow the Sunnah, the tradition of the Prophet, p.b.u.h., then proceed to Arafat. Al-Hajjaj asked, at this very hour? Ibn Umar said, yes. He replied, please wait for me till I pour some water over my head, that is take a bath, and come out. Then Ibn Umar dismounted and waited till Al-Hajjaj came out. So, he, Al-Hajjaj, walked in between me and my father, Ibn Umar. I said to him, if you want to follow the Sunnah then deliver a brief sermon and hurry up for the stay at Arafat. He started looking at Abdullah, Ibn Umar, inquiringly, and when Abdullah noticed that, he said that he had told the truth. Sahih al-Bukhari 1660 reference 25 Hadith 141. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated al-Fadl bint al-Harith. On the day of Arafat, some people who were with me differed about the fasting of the Prophet, p.b.u.h. Some said that he was fasting while others said that he was not fasting. So I sent a bowl full of milk to him while he was riding his camel, and he drank that milk. Sahih al-Bukhari 1661 reference 25 Hadith 142. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage Ibn Shihab said. Salim said, in the year when al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf attacked Ibn az-Zubair, the former asked Abdullah, Ibn Umar, what to do during the stay on the day of Arafah, 9th of Dhul Hijjah. I said to him, if you want to follow the Sunnah, the legal way of the Prophet, you should offer the Salat just after midday on the day of the Arafah. Abdullah bin Umar said, he, Salim, has spoken the truth. They, the companions of the Prophet, used to offer the Zuhr and Asr prayer together according to the Sunnah. I asked Salim, did Allah's Messenger do that? Salim said, and in doing that do you, people, follow anything else except his Sunnah? Sahih al-Bukhari 1662 reference 25 Hadith 143. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar. Abdul Malik bin Marwan wrote to al-Hajjaj that he should follow Abdullah bin Umar in all the ceremonies of Hajj. So when it was the day of Arafat, 9th of Dhul Hijjah, and after the sun has deviated or has declined from the middle of the sky, I and Ibn Umar came and he shouted near the cotton cloth tent of al-Hajjaj, where is he? Al-Hajjaj came out. Ibn Umar said, let us proceed to Arafat. Al-Hajjaj asked, just now? Ibn Umar replied, yes. Al-Hajjaj said, wait for me till I pour water on me, that is take a bath. So, Ibn Umar dismounted, and waited, till Al-Hajjaj came out. He was walking between me and my father. I informed Al-Hajjaj, if you want to follow the Sunnah today, then you should shorten the sermon and then hurry up for the stay at Arafat. Ibn Umar said, he, Salim, has spoken the truth. Sahih al-Bukhari 1663 reference 25 Hadith 144. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Muhammad peace be upon him bin Jubair bin Mut'im. My father said, before Islam, I was looking for my camel. The same narration is told by a different sub-narrator. Jubair bin Mut'im said, my camel was lost and I went out in search of it on the day of Arafat, and I saw the Prophet standing in Arafat. I said to myself, by Allah he is from the Hums, literally, strictly religious. Quraysh were called so, as they used to say, we are the people of Allah, we shall not go out of the sanctuary. What has brought him here? Sahih al-Bukhari 1664 reference 25 Hadith 145. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Urwa. During the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, the people used to perform tawaf of the Kaaba naked except the Hums. And the Hums were Quraysh and their offspring. The Hums used to give clothes to the men who would perform the tawaf wearing them, and women, of the Hums, used to give clothes to the women who would perform the tawaf wearing them. Those to whom the Hums did not give clothes would perform tawaf round the Kaaba naked. Most of the people used to go away, disperse, directly from Arafat, but they, Hums, used to depart after staying at al-Muzdalifah. Urwa added, my father narrated that Aisha had said, the following verses were revealed about the Hums. Then depart from the place whence all the people depart. 2.199. Urwa added, they, the Hums, used to stay at al-Muzdalifah and used to depart from there, to Mina. And so they were sent to Arafat, by Allah's order. Sahih al-Bukhari 1665 reference 25 Hadith 146. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Urwa. Usama was asked in my presence, how was the speed of the camel of Allah's Messenger while departing from Arafat during the Hajj al-Wada? Usama replied, the Prophet proceeded on with a modest pace, and when there was enough space he would make his camel go very fast. Sahih al-Bukhari 1666 reference 25 Hadith 147. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Usama bin Zayd. As soon as the Prophet departed from Arafat, he went towards the mountain pass, and there he answered the call of, the prayer is ahead of you. That is, it asked, O Allah's Messenger, will you offer the prayer here? He replied, the place of the prayer is ahead of you, that is at al-Muzdalifah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1667 reference 25 Hadith 148. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar used to offer the Maghrib and Isha prayers together at Jam, al-Muzdalifah. But he used to pass by that mountain pass where Allah's Messenger went, and he would enter it and answer the call of nature and perform ablution, and would not offer any prayer till he had prayed at Jam. Sahih al-Bukhari 1668 reference 25 Hadith 149. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Usama bin Zayd. I rode behind Allah's Messenger from Arafat, and when Allah's Messenger reached the mountain pass on the left side which is before al-Muzdalifah, he made his camel kneel and then urinated, and then I poured water for his ablution. He performed light ablution, and then I said to him, is it the time for the prayer, O Allah's Messenger? He replied, the place of prayer is ahead of you, that is at al-Muzdalifah. So Allah's Messenger rode till he reached al-Muzdalifah, and then he offered the prayer there. Then in the morning, 10th Dhul Hijjah, al-Faquel bin Abbas rode behind Allah's Messenger. Quraib, a sub-narrator, said that Abdullah bin Abbas narrated from al-Fadl, Allah's Messenger, p.b. U.H. kept on reciting Talbiyah during the journey, till he reached the Jamra. Jamrat al-Aqaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1669, 1670 reference 25 Hadith 150. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. I proceeded along with the Prophet on the day of Arafat, 9th Dhul-Hijjah. The Prophet heard a great hue and cry and the beating of camels behind him. So he beckoned to the people with his lash, O people! Be quiet. Hastening is not a sign of righteousness. Sahih al-Bukhari 1671 reference 25 Hadith 151. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Usama bin Zayd. Allah's messenger proceeded from Arafat and dismounted at the mountainous pass and then urinated and performed a light ablution. I said to him, "Shall we offer the prayer?" He replied, "The prayer is ahead of you, that is at al-Muzdalifah." When he came to al-Muzdalifah, he performed a perfect ablution. Then a Iqamah for the prayer was pronounced and he offered the Maghrib prayer, and then every person made his camel kneel at his place. And then a Iqamah for the prayer was pronounced and he offered the Isha prayer, and he did not offer any prayer in between them. That is Maghrib and Isha prayers. Sahih al-Bukhari 1672 reference 25 Hadith 152. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet offered the Maghrib and Isha prayers together at Jam. That is al-Muzdalifah, with a separate Iqamah for each of them, and did not offer any optional prayer in between them or after each of them. Sahih al-Bukhari 1673 reference 25 Hadith 153. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. Allah's messenger offered the Maghrib and Isha prayers together at al-Muzdalifah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1674 reference 25 Hadith 154. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid. Abdullah performed the Hajj and we reached al-Muzdalifah at or about the time of the Isha prayer. He ordered a man to pronounce the Adhan and Iqamah, and then he offered the Maghrib prayer and offered 2 rakat after it. Then he asked for his supper and took it, and then, I think, he ordered a man to pronounce the Adhan and Iqamah for the Isha prayer. Amr, a sub-narrator, said, "The intervening statement, I think, was said by the sub-narrator Zuhair. That is not by Abdur Rahman." Then Abdullah offered 2 rakat of Isha prayer. When the day dawned, Abdullah said, "The Prophet never offered any prayer at this hour except this prayer at this time and at this place and on this day." Abdullah added, "These 2 prayers are shifted from their actual times. The Maghrib prayer is offered when the people reached al-Muzdalifah, and the Fajr, morning prayer at the early dawn." Abdullah added, "I saw the Prophet doing that." Sahih al-Bukhari 1675 reference 25 Hadith 155. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim. Abdullah bin Umar used to send the weak among his family early to Mina. So they used to depart from al-Mashar al-Haram, that is al-Muzdalifah, at night, when the moon had set, and invoke Allah as much as they could, and then they would return to Mina before the Imam had started from al-Muzdalifah to Mina. So some of them would reach Mina at the time of the Fajr prayer and some of them would come later. When they reached Mina, they would throw pebbles on the Jamrat al-Aqaba. Ibn Umar used to say, Allah's messenger gave the permission to them, weak people, to do so. Sahih al-Bukhari 1676 reference 25 Hadith 156. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Allah's messenger had sent me from Jam, that is al-Muzdalifah, at night. Sahih al-Bukhari 1677 reference 25 Hadith 157. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. I as among those whom the Prophet sent on the night of al-Muzdalifah early being among the weak members of his family. Sahih al-Bukhari 1678 reference 25 Hadith 158. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah sad face. The slave of Asma. During the night of Jam, Asma got down at al-Muzdalifah and stood up for offering the prayer and offered the prayer for some time and then asked, "O my son, has the moon set?" I replied in the negative and she again prayed for another period and then asked, "Has the moon set?" I replied, "Yes." So she said that we should set out for Mina, and we departed and went on till she threw pebbles at the Jamrat al-Aqaba. And then she returned to her dwelling place and offered the morning prayer. I asked her, "O you, I think we have come to Mina early in the night." She replied, "O my son, Allah's Messenger gave permission to the women to do so." Sahih al-Bukhari 1679 reference 25 Hadith 159. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. Sauda asked the permission of the Prophet to leave earlier at the night of Jam, and she was a fat and very slow woman. The Prophet gave her permission. Sahih al-Bukhari 1680 reference 25 Hadith 160. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. We got down at al-Muzdalifah and Sauda asked the permission of the Prophet to leave early, before the rush of the people. She was a slow woman and he gave her permission, so she departed from al-Muzdalifah before the rush of the people. We kept on staying at al-Muzdalifah till dawn, and set out with the Prophet, but I suffered so much that I wished I had taken the permission of Allah's Messenger as Sauda had done, and that would have been dearer to me than any other happiness. Sahih al-Bukhari 1681 reference 25 Hadith 161. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah. I never saw the Prophet offering any prayer not at its stated time except two. He prayed the Maghrib and the Isha together and he offered the morning prayer before its usual time. Sahih al-Bukhari 1682 reference 25 Hadith 162. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid. I went out with Abdullah to Mecca and when we proceeded to Am he offered the two prayers, the Maghrib and the Isha, together, making the Adhan and Iqama separately for each prayer. He took his supper in between the two prayers. He offered the Fajr prayer as soon as the day dawned. Some people said, the day had dawned at the time of the prayer, and others said, the day had not dawned. Abdullah then said, Allah's Messenger said, these two prayers have been shifted from their stated times at this place only, at al-Muzdalifah. First, the Maghrib and the Isha. So the people should not arrive at al-Muzdalifah till the time of the Isha prayer has become due. The second prayer is the morning prayer which is offered at this hour. Then Abdullah stayed there till it became a bit brighter. He then said, if the chief of the believers hastened onwards to Mina just now, then he had indeed followed the Sunnah. I do not know which preceded the other, his, Abdullah's, Sahih al-Bukhari 1683 reference 25 Hadith 163. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage statement or the departure of Uthman. Abdullah was reciting Talbiyah till he threw pebbles at the Jamrat al-Aqaba on the day of Nar. Slaughtering. That is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1683 reference 25 Hadith 163. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Amr bin Maymun. I saw Umar offering the Fajr, morning, prayer at Jam. Then he got up and said, the pagans did not use to depart from Jam till the sun had risen, and they used to say, let the sun shine on Tabir, a mountain. But the Prophet contradicted them and departed from Jam before sunrise. Sahih al-Bukhari 1684 reference 25 Hadith 164. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet made al-Fadl ride behind him, and al-Fadl informed that he, the Prophet, kept on reciting Talbiyah till he did the Rami of the Jamra. Jamrat al-Aqaba, Sahih al-Bukhari 1685 reference 25 Hadith 165. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ubaidullah bin Abdullah. Ibn Abbas said, Usama bin Zayd rode behind the Prophet from Arafat to al-Muzdalifah, and then from al-Muzdalifah to Mina, al-Fadl rode behind him. He added, both of them, Usama and al-Fadl, said, the Prophet was constantly reciting Talbiyah till he did Rami of the Jamarat al-Aqaba. Sahih al-Bukhari 1686, 1687 reference 25 Hadith 166. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Jamra. I asked Ibn Abbas about Hajj at Tamattu. He ordered me to perform it. I asked him about the Hadi, sacrifice. He said, you have to slaughter a camel, a cow or a sheep, or you may share the Hadi with the others. It seemed that some people disliked it, Hajj at Tamattu. I slept and dreamt as if a person was announcing, Hajj Mabrur and accepted Muta. Hajj at Tamattu. I went to Ibn Abbas and narrated it to him. He said, Allah is greater. That was the tradition of Abu al-Qasim, that is Prophet. Narrated Shu Ba that the call in the dream was, and accepted Umrah and Hajj Mabrur. Sahih al-Bukhari 1688 reference 25 Hadith 167. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger, P.B. U. H. saw a man driving his badana, sacrificial camel. He said, ride on it. The man said, it is a badana. The Prophet said, ride on it. He, the man, said, it is a badana. The Prophet said, ride on it. And on the second or the third time he, the Prophet, added, woe to you. Sahih al-Bukhari 1689 reference 25 Hadith 168. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas. The Prophet saw a man driving a badana. He said, ride on it. The man replied, it is a badana. The Prophet said, again, ride on it. He, the man, said, it is a badana. The Prophet said thrice, ride on it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1690 reference 25 Hadith 169. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. During the last Hajj, Hajj al-Wada, of Allah's Messenger he performed Umrah and Hajj. He drove a Hadi along with him from Dhul Hulayfa. Allah's Messenger started by assuming Ihram for Umrah and Hajj, and the people, too, performed the Umrah and Hajj along with the Prophet. Some of them brought the Hadi and drove it along with them, while the others did not. So, when the Prophet arrived at Mecca, he said to the people, whoever among you has driven the Hadi, should not finish his Ihram till he completes his Hajj. And whoever among you has not driven the Hadi with him, should perform Tawaf of the Kaaba and the Tawaf between Safa and Marwa, then cut short his hair and finish his Ihram, and should later assume Ihram for Hajj. But he must offer a Hadi, sacrifice, and if anyone cannot afford a Hadi, he should fast for 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days when he returns home. The Prophet performed Tawaf of the Kaaba on his arrival at Mecca. He touched the black Sahih al-Bukhari 1691 reference 25 Hadith 170. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage stone, corner first of all and then did ramal. Fast walking with moving of the shoulders, during the first 3 rounds round the Kaaba, and during the last 4 rounds he walked. After finishing tawaf of the Kaaba, he offered a 2 rakat prayer at Maqam Ibrahim, and after finishing the prayer he went to Safa and Marwa and performed 7 rounds of tawaf between them and did not do any deed forbidden because of ihram, till he finished all the ceremonies of his Hajj and sacrificed his hadi on the day of Nar, 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. He then hastened onwards, to Mecca, and performed tawaf of the Kaaba, and then everything that was forbidden because of ihram became permissible. Those who took and drove the hadi with them did the same as Allah's Messenger did. Sahih al-Bukhari 1691 reference 25 Hadith 170. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Urwa. Aisha informed me about the Hajj and Umrah, together, of the Prophet, and so did the people who were with him, during the Hajj and Umrah. And narration similar to the narration of the Ibn Umar, previous hadith. Sahih al-Bukhari 1692 reference 25 Hadith 171. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar said to his father, "Stay here, for I am afraid that affliction between Ibn Zubair and al-Hajjaj might prevent you from reaching the Kaaba." Ibn Umar said, "In this case, I would do the same as Allah's Messenger did, and Allah has said, verily, in Allah's Messenger, you have a good example to follow. So, I make you, people, witness that I have made Umrah compulsory for me." So he assumed Ram for Umrah. Then he went out, and when he reached Al-Baida, he assumed ihram for Hajj and Umrah together, and said, "The conditions, requisites, of Hajj and Umrah are the same." He then brought a hadi from Qudayd. Then he arrived at Mecca and performed tawaf between Safa and Marwa, once for both Hajj and Umrah, and did not finish the Ram till he had finished both Hajj and Umrah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1693 reference 25 Hadith 172. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated al-Miswar bin Makrama and Marwan. The Prophet set out from Medina with over 1,000 of his companions at the time of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and when they reached Dhul Hulayfa, the Prophet garlanded his hadi and marked it and assumed ihram for Umrah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1694, 1695 reference 25 Hadith 173. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I twisted with my own hands the garlands for the button of the Prophet, who garlanded and marked them, and then made them proceed to Mecca. Yet no permissible thing was regarded as illegal for him then. Sahih al-Bukhari 1696 reference 25 Hadith 174. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Hafsa. I said, "O Allah's Messenger, what is wrong with the people? They have finished their ihram, but you have not." He said, "I matted my hair and I have garlanded my hadi, so I will not finish my ihram till I finished my Hajj." Sahih al-Bukhari 1697 reference 25 Hadith 175. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger used to send the hadi from Medina, and I used to twist the garlands for his hadi, and he did not keep away from any of these things which a muhrim keeps away from. Sahih al-Bukhari 1698 reference 25 Hadith 176. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I twisted the garlands for the hadis of the Prophet, and then he marked and garlanded them, or I garlanded them, and then made them proceed to the Kaaba, but he remained in Medina, and no permissible thing was regarded as illegal for him then. Sahih al-Bukhari 1699 reference 25 Hadith 177. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Abu Bakr bin Amr bin Hazm, that Amra bint Abdur Rahman had told him, Zayd bin Abu Sufyan wrote to Aisha that Abdullah bin Abbas had stated, whoever sends his hadi to the Kaaba, all the things which are illegal for a pilgrim become illegal for that person till he slaughters it, that is till the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. Amra added, Aisha said, it is not like what Ibn Abbas had said, I twisted the garlands of the hadis of Allah's Messenger with my own hands. Then Allah's Messenger put them round their necks with his own hands, sending them with my father. Yet nothing permitted by Allah was considered illegal for Allah's apostle till he slaughtered the hadis. Sahih al-Bukhari 1700 reference 25 Hadith 178. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. Once the Prophet sent sheep as hadi. Sahih al-Bukhari 1701 reference 25 Hadith 179. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I used to make the garlands for the hadis of the Prophet, and he would garland the sheep with them, and would stay with his family as a non-muhrim. Sahih al-Bukhari 1702 reference 25 Hadith 180. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I used to twist the garlands for the sheep of the Prophet, and he would send them to the Kaaba and stay as a non-muhrim. Sahih al-Bukhari 1703 reference 25 Hadith 181. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I twisted the garlands for the hadis of the Prophet before he assumed ihram. Sahih al-Bukhari 1704 reference 25 Hadith 182. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. I twisted the garlands of the hadis from the wool which was with me. Sahih al-Bukhari 1705 reference 25 Hadith 183. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ikrimah. Abu Huraira said, the Prophet saw a man driving a badana, sacrificial camel. The Prophet, P.B. U.H., said to him, ride on it. He replied, it is a badana. The Prophet again said, ride on it. Abu Huraira added, then I saw that man riding it, showing obedience to the Prophet, P.B. U.H., and a shoe was hanging from its neck. Narrated Abu Huraira. From the Prophet, as above. Sahih al-Bukhari 1706 reference 25 Hadith 184. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ali. Allah's Messenger ordered me to give in charity the skin and the coverings of the button which I had slaughtered. Sahih al-Bukhari 1707 reference 25 Hadith 185. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar intended to perform Hajj in the year of the Hajj of al-Haruriyah during the rule of Ibn az-Zubair. Some people said to him, it is very likely that there will be a fight among the people, and we are afraid that they might prevent you from performing Hajj. He replied, verily, in Allah's Messenger there is a good example for you to follow. In this case I would do the same as he had done. I make you witness that I have intended to perform Umrah. When he reached Al-Baida, he said, the conditions for both Hajj and Umrah are the same. I make you witness that I have intended to perform Hajj along with Umrah. After that he took a garlanded hadi to Mecca, which he bought on the way. When he reached Mecca, he performed Tawaf of the Kaaba and of Safa and Marwa, and did not do more than that. He did not make legal for himself the things which were illegal for a muhrim till it was the day of Nar, sacrifice, when he had his head shaved and slaughtered, the sacrifice. Sahih al-Bukhari 1708 reference 25 Hadith 186. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage and considered sufficient his first tawaf, between Safa and Marwa, as a sa'i, for his Hajj and Umrah both. He then said, the Prophet used to do like that. Sahih al-Bukhari 1708 reference 25 Hadith 186. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Amra bint Abdur Rahman. I heard Aisha saying, 5 days before the end of Dhul Qa'dah we set out from Medina in the company of Allah's Messenger with the intention of performing Hajj only. When we approached Mecca, Allah's Messenger ordered those who had no hadi with them to finish their ram after performing tawaf of the Kaaba and sa'i, and between Safa and Marwa. Aisha added, on the day of Nar, slaughtering of sacrifice, beef was brought to us. I asked, what is this? The reply was, Allah's Apostle, P.B.U.H., has slaughtered sacrifices on behalf of his wives. Sahih al-Bukhari 1709 reference 25 Hadith 187. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Abdullah bin Umar used to slaughter his sacrifice at the manhar. Ubaidullah, a sub-narrator said, the manhar of Allah's Messenger. Sahih al-Bukhari 1710 reference 25 Hadith 188. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar used to send his hadi from Jam to Mina in the last third of the night with the pilgrims amongst whom there were free men and slaves, till it was taken into the manhar, slaughtering place, of the Prophet. Sahih al-Bukhari 1711 reference 25 Hadith 189. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Sal bin Bakr. The narration of Anas abridged, saying, the Prophet slaughtered 7 budden camels, while standing, with his own hands. On the day of Eid al-Adha he slaughtered, sacrificed, 2 horned rams, black and white in color. Sahih al-Bukhari 1712 reference 25 Hadith 190. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ziyad bin Jubair. I saw Ibn Umar passing by a man who had made his badana sit to slaughter it. Ibn Umar said, slaughter it while it is standing with one leg tied up as is the tradition of Muhammad peace be upon him. Sahih al-Bukhari 1713 reference 25 Hadith 191. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas. The Prophet offered 4 rak'at of Zuhr prayer at Medina, and 2 rak'at of Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa and spent the night there, and when the day dawned, he mounted his mount and started saying, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and glorified be Allah. When he reached Al-Baida he recited Talbiyah for both Hajj and Umrah. And when he arrived at Mecca, he ordered them, his companions, to finish their ihram. The Prophet slaughtered 7 budden camel with his own hands while the camels were standing. He also sacrificed 2 horned rams, black and white in color, at Medina. Sahih al-Bukhari 1714 reference 25 Hadith 192. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik. The Prophet, P.B.U.H., offered 4 rak'at of Zuhr prayer at Medina and 2 rak'at of Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa. Narrated Ayub. A man said, Anas said, then he, the Prophet passed the night there till dawn, and then he offered the morning, Fajr, prayer, and mounted his mount, and when it arrived at Al-Baida he assumed ihram for both Umrah and Hajj. Sahih al-Bukhari 1715 reference 25 Hadith 193. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ali. The Prophet sent me to supervise the slaughtering of Budden, Hadi camels, and ordered me to distribute their meat, and then he ordered me to distribute their covering sheets and skins. All added, the Prophet ordered me to supervise the slaughtering of the Budden, and not to give anything of their bodies to the butcher as wages for slaughtering. Sahih al-Bukhari 1716 reference 25 Hadith 194. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ali. The Prophet ordered me to supervise the slaughtering of Budden, Hadi camel, and to distribute their meat, skins and covering sheets in charity and not to give anything of their bodies to the butcher as wages for slaughtering. Sahih al-Bukhari 1717 reference 25 Hadith 195. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ali. The Prophet offered 100 Budden as Hadi and ordered me to distribute their meat in charity, and I did so. Then he ordered me to distribute their covering sheets in charity and I did so. Then he ordered me to distribute their skins in charity and I did so. Sahih al-Bukhari 1718 reference 25 Hadith 196. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Jurai. Atta said, I heard Habir bin Abdullah saying, we never ate the meat of the Budden for more than 3 days of Mina. Later, the Prophet gave us permission by saying, eat and take meat with you. So we ate some and took some with us. I asked Atta, did Habir say that they went on eating the meat till they reached Medina? Atta replied, no. Sahih al-Bukhari 1719 reference 25 Hadith 197. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Amra. I heard Aisha saying, we set out from Medina, along with Allah's Messenger 5 days before the end of Dhul Qa'dah with the intention of performing Hajj only. When we approached Mecca, Allah's Apostle ordered those who had no Hadi along with them to finish the Ram after performing Tawaf of the Kaaba, Safa and Marwa. Aisha added, beef was brought to us on the day of Nahr and I said, what is this? Somebody said, the Prophet has slaughtered cows on behalf of his wives. Sahih al-Bukhari 1720 reference 25 Hadith 198. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was asked about a person who had his head shaved before slaughtering his Hadi, or other similar ceremonies of Hajj. He replied, there is no harm, there is no harm. Sahih al-Bukhari 1721 reference 25 Hadith 199. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. A man said to the Prophet, I performed the Tawaf al-Ifadah before the Rami, throwing pebbles at the Jamra. The Prophet replied, there is no harm. The man said, I had my head shaved before slaughtering. The Prophet replied, there is no harm. He said, I have slaughtered the Hadi before the Rami. The Prophet replied, there is no harm. Sahih al-Bukhari 1722 reference 25 Hadith 200. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was asked by a man who said, I have done the Rami in the evening. The Prophet replied, there is no harm in it. Another man asked, I had my head shaved before the slaughtering. The Prophet replied, there is no harm in it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1723 reference 25 Hadith 201. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Musa. I came upon Allah's Messenger when he was at Al-Batha. He asked me, have you intended to perform the Hajj? I replied in the affirmative. He asked, for what have you assumed Ram? I replied, I have assumed ihram with the same intention as that of the Prophet. The Prophet said, "You have done well. Go and perform tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa." Then I went to one of the women of Bani Qais and she took out lice from my head. Later, I assumed the ihram for Hajj. So, I used to give this verdict to the people till the caliphate of Umar. When I told him about it, he said, "If we follow, the holy book, then it orders us to complete Hajj and Umrah, Hajj at Tamattu. And if we follow the tradition of Allah's Messenger, then Allah's Messenger did not finish his ram till the Hadi had reached its destination, had been slaughtered." That is Hajj al-Qiran. See Hadith number 630. Sahih al-Bukhari 1724 reference 25 Hadith 202. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Hafsa said, "O Allah's Messenger, what is wrong with the people? They finished their ihram after performing Umrah, but you have not finished it after your Umrah." He replied, "I matted my hair and have garlanded my Hadi. So, I cannot finish my ihram till I slaughter my Hadi." Sahih al-Bukhari 1725 reference 25 Hadith 203. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., got his head shaved after performing his Hajj. Sahih al-Bukhari 1726 reference 25 Hadith 204. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's Messenger said, "O Allah, be merciful to those who have their head shaved." The people said, "O Allah's Messenger, and invoke Allah for those who get their hair cut short." The Prophet said, "O Allah, be merciful to those who have their head shaved." The people said, "O Allah's Messenger, and those who get their hair cut short." The Prophet said, the third time, "And to those who get their hair cut short." Nafi said that the Prophet had said once or twice, "O Allah, be merciful to those who get their head shaved," and on the fourth time he added, "And to those who have their hair cut short." Sahih al-Bukhari 1727 reference 25 Hadith 205. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, "O Allah, forgive those who get their heads shaved." The people asked, "Also those who get their hair cut short?" The Prophet said, "O Allah, forgive those who have their heads shaved." The people said, "Also those who get their hair cut short?" The Prophet, "Invoke Allah for those who have their heads shaved," and, at the third time said, "Also, forgive those who get their hair cut short." Sahih al-Bukhari 1728 reference 25 Hadith 206. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah. The Prophet and some of his companions got their heads shaved and some others got their hair cut short. Sahih al-Bukhari 1729 reference 25 Hadith 207. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Muawiyah. I cut short the hair of Allah's Messenger with a long blade. Sahih al-Bukhari 1730 reference 25 Hadith 208. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. When the Prophet came to Mecca, he ordered his companions to perform tawaf round the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa, to finish their ihram and get their hair shaved off or cut short. Sahih al-Bukhari 1731 reference 25 Hadith 209. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi that Ibn Umar, performed only one tawaf. He would take an afternoon nap and then return to Mina. That was on the day of Nahr, slaughtering. Sahih al-Bukhari 1732 reference 25 Hadith 210. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. We performed Hajj with the Prophet and performed Tawaf al-Ifadah on the day of Nahr, slaughtering. Safiya got her menses and the Prophet's desired from her what a husband desires from his wife. I said to him, O Allah's Messenger, she is having her menses. He said, is she going to detain us? We informed him that she had performed Tawaf al-Ifadah on the day of Nahr. He said, then you can depart. Sahih al-Bukhari 1733 reference 25 Hadith 211. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was asked about the slaughtering, shaving, of the head, and the doing of Rami before or after the due times. He said, there is no harm in that. Sahih al-Bukhari 1734 reference 25 Hadith 212. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was asked, as regards the ceremonies of Hajj, at Mina on the day of Nahr, and he replied that there was no harm. Then a man said to him, I got my head shaved before slaughtering. He replied, slaughter, now, and there is no harm in it. Another man said, I did the Rami, of the Jimar, after midday. The Prophet replied, there was no harm in it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1735 reference 25 Hadith 213. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Amr. Allah's Messenger stopped for a while near the Jimar at Mina, during his last Hajj, and the people started asking him questions. A man said, ignorantly I got my head shaved before slaughtering. The Prophet replied, slaughter, now, and there is no harm in it. Another man said, unknowingly I slaughtered the Hadi before doing the Rami. The Prophet said, do Rami now and there is no harm in it. So, on that day, when the Prophet was asked about anything, about the ceremonies of Hajj, done before or after its stated time, his reply was, do it, now, and there is no harm. Sahih al-Bukhari 1736 reference 25 Hadith 214. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As. I witnessed the Prophet when he was delivering the sermon on the day of Nahr. A man stood up and said, I thought that such and such was to be done before such and such. I got my hair shaved before slaughtering. Another said, I slaughtered the Hadi before doing the Rami. So, the people asked about many similar things. The Prophet said, do it, now, and there is no harm in all these cases. Whenever the Prophet was asked about anything on that day, he replied, do it, now, and there is no harm in it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1737 reference 25 Hadith 215. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As. Allah's Messenger stopped while on his she-camel. The sub-narrator then narrated the hadith as above, that is 793. Sahih al-Bukhari 1738 reference 25 Hadith 216. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ikrimah. Ibn Abbas said, Allah's Messenger delivered a sermon on the day of Nahr, and said, O people, tell me, what is the day today? The people replied, it is the forbidden, sacred, day. He asked again, what town is this? They replied, it is the forbidden, sacred, town. He asked, which month is this? They replied, it is the forbidden, sacred, month. He said, no doubt. Your blood, your properties, and your honor are sacred to one another like the sanctity of this day of yours, in this sacred town, Mecca, of yours, in this month of yours. The Prophet repeated his statement again and again. After that he raised his head and said, O Allah, haven't conveyed your message to them. Haven't I conveyed your message to them? Ibn Abbas added, by him in whose hand my soul is, the following was his will, Prophet's will, to his followers. It is incumbent upon those who are present to convey this information to those who are absent. Beware, don't renegade, as disbelievers turn into infidels. Sahih al-Bukhari 1739 reference 25 Hadith 217. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage after me, striking the necks, cutting the throats, of one another. Sahih al-Bukhari 1739 reference 25 Hadith 217. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. I heard the Prophet delivering a sermon at Arafat. Sahih al-Bukhari 1740 reference 25 Hadith 218. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abu Bakr. The Prophet delivered to us a sermon on the day of Nar. He said, Do you know what is the day today? We said, Allah and His Apostle know better. He remained silent till we thought that he might give that day another name. He said, Isn't it the day of Nar? We said, It is. He further asked, Which month is this? We said, Allah and His Apostle know better. He remained silent till we thought that he might give it another name. He then said, Isn't it the month of Dhul Hijjah? We replied, Yes, it is. He further asked, What town is this? We replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He remained silent till we thought that he might give it another name. He then said, Isn't it the forbidden, sacred, town, of Mecca? We said, Yes, it is. He said, No doubt, your blood and your properties are sacred to one another like the sanctity of this day of yours, in this month of yours, in this town of yours, till the day you meet your Lord. No doubt, haven't I conveyed Allah's message to Sahih al-Bukhari 1741 reference 25 Hadith 219. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage you? They said, Yes. He said, O Allah, be witness. So it is incumbent upon those who are present to convey it, this information, to those who are absent because the informed one might comprehend it, what I have said, better than the present audience, who will convey it to him. Beware, do not renegade, as disbelievers after me by striking the necks, cutting the throats, of one another. Sahih al-Bukhari 1741 reference 25 Hadith 219. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. At Mina, the Prophet, P.B. U.H. said, Do you know what is the day today? The people replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He said, It is the forbidden, sacred, day. And do you know what town is this? They replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He said, This is the forbidden, sacred, town, Mecca. And do you know which month is this? The people replied, Allah and His Apostle know it better. He said, This is the forbidden, sacred, month. The Prophet added, No doubt, Allah made your blood, your properties, and your honor sacred to one another like the sanctity of this day of yours in this month of yours in this town of yours. Narrated Ibn Umar. On the day of Nar, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, the Prophet stood in between the Jamrat during his Hajj which he performed, as in the previous hadith, and said, This is the greatest day, that is 10th of Dhul Hijjah. The Prophet started saying repeatedly, O Allah, be witness, I have conveyed your message. He then bade Sahih al-Bukhari 1742 reference 25 Hadith 220. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage. The people farewell. The people said, This is Hajjat al-Wada. Sahih al-Bukhari 1742 reference 25 Hadith 220. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet permitted the people who provided the pilgrims with water to stay at Mecca during the nights of Mina. Sahih al-Bukhari 1743 reference 25 Hadith 221. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. That the Prophet allowed people who provided the pilgrims with water to stay at Mecca during the nights of Mina. Sahih al-Bukhari 1744 reference 25 Hadith 222. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Umar. Al-Abbas asked the permission from the Prophet to stay at Mecca during the nights of Mina in order to provide water to the people, so the Prophet allowed him. Sahih al-Bukhari 1745 reference 25 Hadith 223. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Wabra. I asked Ibn Umar, when should I do the Rami of the Jamar? He replied, when your leader does that. I asked him again the same question. He replied, we used to wait till the sun declined and then we would do the Rami. That is on the 11th and 12th of Dhul Hijjah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1746 reference 25 Hadith 224. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid. Abdullah did the Rami from the middle of the valley. So, I said, O Abu Abdur Rahman, some people do the Rami of the Jamra from above it, that is from the top of the valley. He said, by him except whom none has the right to be worshipped, this is the place from where the one on whom Surat al-Baqarah was revealed, that is Allah's messenger, did the Rami. Sahih al-Bukhari 1747 reference 25 Hadith 225. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid. When Abdullah reached the big Jamra, that is Jamrat al-Aqaba, he kept the Kaaba on the left side and Mina on his right side and threw 7 pebbles at the Jamra, and said, the one on whom Surat al-Baqarah was revealed, that is the Prophet, had done the Rami similarly. Sahih al-Bukhari 1748 reference 25 Hadith 226. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdur Rahman bin Yazid. I performed Hajj with Ibn Mas'ud, and saw him doing Rami of the big Jamra, Jamrat al-Aqaba, with 7 small pebbles, keeping the Kaaba on his left side and Mina on his right. He then said, this is the place where the one on whom Surat al-Baqarah was revealed, that is Allah's messenger, stood. Sahih al-Bukhari 1749 reference 25 Hadith 227. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated al-Amash. I heard al-Hajjaj saying on the pulpit, the surah in which al-Baqarah, the cow, is mentioned in the surah in which the family of Imran is mentioned in the surah in which the women, and Nisa, is mentioned. I mentioned this to Ibrahim, and he said, Abdur Rahman bin Yazid told me, I was with Ibn Mas'ud, when he did the Rami of the Jamrat al-Aqaba. He went down the middle of the valley, and when he came near the tree, which was near the Jamra, he stood opposite to it and threw 7 small pebbles and said, Allahu Akbar on throwing every pebble. Then he said, by him, except whom none has the right to be worshipped, here, at this place, stood the one on whom Surat al-Baqarah was revealed, that is Allah's messenger. Sahih al-Bukhari 1750 reference 25 Hadith 228. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim. Ibn Umar used to do Rami of the Jamrat ud-Dunya, the Jamra near to the Kayf Mosque, with 7 small stones and used to recite takbir on throwing every pebble. He then would go ahead till he reached the level ground where he would stand facing the Qibla for a long time to invoke Allah, while raising his hands, while invoking. Then he would do Rami of the Jamrat al-Wusta, middle Jamra, and then he would go to the left towards the middle ground, where he would stand facing the Qibla. He would remain standing there for a long period to invoke Allah, while raising his hands, and would stand there for a long period. Then he would do Rami of the Jamrat al-Aqaba from the middle of the valley, but he would not stay by it, and then he would leave and say, I saw the Prophet doing like this. Sahih al-Bukhari 1751 reference 25 Hadith 229. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Salim bin Abdullah. Abdullah bin Umar used to do Rami of the Jamrat ud-Dunya with 7 small pebbles and used to recite takbir on throwing each stone. He, then, would proceed further till he reached the level ground, where he would stay for a long time, facing the Qibla to invoke Allah, while raising his hands. Then he would do Rami of the Jamrat al-Wusta similarly and would go to the left towards the level ground, where he would stand for a long time facing the Qibla to invoke Allah, while raising his hands. Then he would do Rami of the Jamrat al-Aqaba from the middle of the valley, but he would not stay by it. Ibn Umar used to say, I saw Allah's Messenger doing like that. Sahih al-Bukhari 1752 reference 25 Hadith 230. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated as Zuhri. Whenever Allah's Messenger stoned the Jamra near Mina Mosque, he would do Rami of it with 7 small pebbles and say takbir on throwing each pebble. Then he would go ahead and stand facing the Qibla with his hands raised, and invoke Allah, and he sued to stand for a long period. Then he would come to the second Jamra, al-Wusta, and stone it with 7 small stones, reciting takbir on throwing each stone. Then he would stand facing the Qibla with raised hands to invoke Allah. Then he would come to the Jamra near the Aqaba, Jamrat al-Aqaba, and do Rami of it with 7 small pebbles, reciting takbir on throwing each stone. He then would leave and not stay by it. Narrated as Zuhri. I heard Salim bin Abdullah saying the same that his father said on the authority of the Prophet. And Ibn Umar used to do the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1753 reference 25 Hadith 231. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdur Rahman bin al-Qasim. I heard my father who was the best man of his age, saying, I heard Aisha saying, I perfumed Allah's apostle with my own hands before finishing his ihram while yet he has not performed tawaf al-Ifada. She spread her hands, while saying so. Sahih al-Bukhari 1754 reference 25 Hadith 232. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. The people were ordered to perform the tawaf of the Kaaba, tawaf al-Wada, as the lastly thing, before leaving Mecca, except the menstruating women who were excused. Sahih al-Bukhari 1755 reference 25 Hadith 233. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik. The Prophet offered the Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib and the Isha prayers and slept for a while at a place called Al-Muhasab and then rode to the Kaaba and performed tawaf round it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1756 reference 25 Hadith 234. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. Safiya bint Huyay, the wife of the Prophet, got her menses, and Allah's Messenger was informed of that. He said, would she delay us? The people said, she has already performed tawaf al-Ifada. He said, therefore she will not delay us. Sahih al-Bukhari 1757 reference 25 Hadith 235. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ikrimah. The people of Medina asked Ibn Abbas about a woman who got her menses after performing Tawaf al-Ifadah. He said, she could depart from Mecca. They said, we will not act on your verdict and ignore the verdict of Zayd. Ibn Abbas said, when you reach Medina, inquire about it. So, when they reached Medina they asked about that. One of those whom they asked was Sulaym. She told them the narration of Safiya, 812. Sahih al-Bukhari 1758, 1759 reference 25 Hadith 236. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. A menstruating woman was allowed to leave Mecca if she had done Tawaf al-Ifadah. Tawus, a sub-narrator, said from his father, I heard Ibn Umar saying that she would not depart. Then later I heard him saying that the Prophet had allowed them, menstruating women, to depart. Sahih al-Bukhari 1760, 1761 reference 25 Hadith 237. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. We set out with the Prophet with the intention of performing Hajj only. The Prophet reached Mecca and performed Tawaf of the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa and did not finish the Ihram, because he had the Hadi with him. His companions and his wives performed Tawaf of the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa, and those who had no Hadi with them finished their Ihram. I got the menses and performed all the ceremonies of Hajj. So, when the night of Hasba, night of departure, came, I said, O Allah's Messenger, all your companions are returning with Hajj and Umrah except me. He asked me, didn't you perform Tawaf of the Kaaba, Umrah, when you reached Mecca? I said, number. He said, go to Tan'im with your brother Abdur Rahman, and assume Ihram for Umrah and I will wait for you at such and such a place. So I went with Abdur Rahman to Tan'im and assumed Ihram for Umrah. Then Safiya bint Huyay got menses. The Prophet said, Akra Halka, you will detain us. Didn't you perform Tawaf al-Ifadah? Sahih al-Bukhari 1762 reference 25 Hadith 238. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage on the day of Nahr, slaughtering. She said, yes, I did. He said, then there is no harm, depart. So I met the Prophet when he was ascending the heights towards Mecca and I was descending, or vice versa. Sahih al-Bukhari 1762 reference 25 Hadith 238. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Abdul Aziz bin Rufai. I asked Anas bin Malik, tell me something you have observed about the Prophet concerning where he offered the Zuhr prayer on the day of Tarwiyah, 8th Dhul Hijjah. Anas replied, he offered it at Mina. I said, where did he offer the Asr prayer on the day of Nafr, day of departure from Mina? He replied, at Al-Abta, and added, you should do as your leaders do. Sahih al-Bukhari 1763 reference 25 Hadith 239. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Anas bin Malik. The Prophet offered the Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha prayers and slept for a while at a place called Al-Mahasab and then he rode towards the Kaaba and performed Tawaf, al-Wada. Sahih al-Bukhari 1764 reference 25 Hadith 240. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. It, that is Al-Abta, was a place where the Prophet used to camp so that it might be easier for him to depart. Sahih al-Bukhari 1765 reference 25 Hadith 241. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Staying at Al-Mahasab is not one of the ceremonies of Hajj, but Al-Mahasab is a place where Allah's Messenger camped during his Hajjat al-Wida. Sahih al-Bukhari 1766 reference 25 Hadith 242. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar used to spend the night at Dhituwa in between the two Taniyahs, and then he would enter Mecca through the Taniyah, which is at the higher region of Mecca, and whenever he came to Mecca for Hajj or Umrah, he never made his she-camel kneel down except near the gate of the masjid, sacred mosque, and then he would enter it, and go to the black stone corner and start from there circumambulating the Kaaba 7 times, hastening in the first 3 rounds, Ramal, and walking in the last 4. On finishing, he would offer 2 rak'at prayer and set out to perform tawaf between Safa and Marwa before returning to his dwelling place. On returning to Medina from Hajj or Umrah, he used to make his camel kneel down at Al-Batha, which is at Dhul Hulayfa, the place where the Prophet used to make his camel kneel down. Sahih al-Bukhari 1767 reference 25 Hadith 243. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Khalid bin al-Harith. Ubaidullah was asked about al-Mahasab. Ubaidullah narrated, Nafi said, Allah's Messenger S. Umar and Ibn Umar camped there. Nafi added, Ibn Umar used to offer the Zuhr and Asr prayers at it, that is al-Mahasab. I think he mentioned the Maghrib prayer also. I said, I don't doubt about Isha. That is, he used to offer it there also, and he used to sleep there for a while. He used to say, the Prophet used to do the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1768 reference 25 Hadith 244. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Nafi. Whenever Ibn Umar approached Makkah, he used to pass the night at Dhituwa till dawn, and then he would enter Makkah. On his return, he used to pass by Dhituwa and pass the night there till dawn, and he used to say that the Prophet used to do the same. Sahih al-Bukhari 1769 reference 25 Hadith 245. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Ibn Abbas. Dhul Majaz and Ukaz were the markets of the people during the pre-Islamic period of ignorance. When the people embraced Islam, they disliked to do bargaining there till the following holy verses were revealed. There is no harm for you if you seek of the bounty of your Lord, during Hajj by trading, etc. 2.198, Sahih al-Bukhari 1770 reference 25 Hadith 246. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hajj, pilgrimage narrated Aisha. Safiya got her menses on the night of Nafr, departure from Hajj, and she said, I see that I will detain you. The Prophet said, Akra halka. Did she perform the tawaf on the day of Nar, slaughtering? Somebody replied in the affirmative. He said, then depart. Different narrators mentioned that Aisha said, we set out with Allah's apostle, from Medina, with the intention of performing Hajj only. When we reached Mecca, he ordered us to finish the ihram. When it was the night of Nafr, departure, Safiya bint Huyay got her menses. The Prophet said, Halka Akra. I think that she will detain you, and added, did you perform the tawaf, al-ifada, on the day of Nar, slaughtering? She replied, yes. He said, then depart. I said, O Allah's apostle, I have not done the Umrah. He replied, perform Umrah from Tan'im. My brother went with me and we came across the Prophet in the last part of the night. He said, wait at such and such a place. Sahih al-Bukhari 1771, 1772 reference 25 Hadith 247.